This is real for me. I need this. This is a therapy for me.
Before we dive in, a quick but important note. We are not licensed mental health professionals or medical experts. The conversations that we have on this podcast are based on our personal experiences, thoughts, and opinions. Nothing shared here is intended to be taken as medical advice, a diagnosis, or a substitute for professional help. If you are struggling or need support, please reach out to a qualified mental health provider or medical. We're back with another therapy session. First, I just want to give a huge shout out to you guys. The amount of support that we've seen already just on the few episodes that we've been able to release has been
wild,
insane. The feedback that we've gotten, the people that have reached out because of the stuff that we've covered already is just absolutely amazing. So I just want to thank you guys first and foremost for that. And for those who didn't know, we do have this on pretty much every platform you can get a podcast. YouTube for those who like to watch instead of just watch and listen. And then we have Spotify, Apple. So go check it out on there. If you're on your car ride and you can't watch it, check it out on Spotify and Apple. Hit that follow button because the follow and the likes is what helps us grow and helps get us to understand what you guys want to see.
That and we can get monetized, which I've spent enough money so far to get this going.
Yeah. And this is hopefully our general day job career.
Yeah,
so,
one day.
One day. So that does help us out and makes it to where we can hopefully get an actual studio at some point here soon and kind of expand the production a little bit more to get more and more guests on, have time for more and more guests. So little plug that we had to add there for you guys. But
I am excited about this episode because you're our first female guest, first of all. And
shit, that's
yeah,
right.
It is, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
First lady.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know you as Nicole, but
Yes.
is that the name you want to go by?
Yes,
Okay.
and I'll explain why I go by two.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was two different names.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard that.
Nicole is my middle name,
Okay.
and I go by Nicole in the outside world because Helena is a different person to my family and friends.
Oh, okay.
I've come to realize she is more of the dark person.
Okay.
And Nicole is the face, the mask
Yeah.
that you put on.
Oh,
Which
interesting.
is something that
Okay.
I've just discovered.
Oh, really?
Yeah, within
Okay.
myself.
So the first name is Helena then.
Helena, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But
And everybody's like, it's so pretty. You should go by it. I'm like,
that's my alter ego.
yeah. Maybe
If
not.
I ever go by her, you should probably watch out. That's so funny.
She's different.
Is there any time that you do have people like refer to you as Helena, or is it pretty much always
It's
Nicole?
literally just work and close friends and family.
Okay.
It's pretty much it. So everyone knows me as Nicole.
Nicole.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. I've always wanted to ask you that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I finally got that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I just learned
Helena
something new.
Nicole.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Well, today we're talking about a topic that we have already touched on before, but as with any mental anything, it's different everybody.
Yes.
There's not one thing that's the exact same in every single person. Anxiety can be something completely different, as we've learned before. Depression, even like autism, anything. There's different spectrums of everything, and people are affected in different ways
Yeah.
by things.
Super excited to have someone else that suffers. I mean, I'm not excited about it, but I'm excited to talk to about it because,
Yeah.
I don't really have anyone I can talk to about it.
I always say it's bittersweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bitter. It's a definitely bittersweet thing because it is something we suffer with, but
Yeah.
it's also something that brings us emotional intelligence that many people don't
Right.
have.
Exactly.
So it is a bittersweet thing because it's dark, but it's
Yeah.
also got its light parts.
It's
as
got
well.
a lot of light parts, I think.
But I mean, it does affect more people than we even realize. I was
Yeah.
listening to another podcast. Shout out Angie Huberman. Love you, man. You're amazing. But apparently it affects roughly about 1% of people. So if
Like
you're in a
all
room-
people or the US?
As far as what he was saying, I believe it's all people.
Wow, that's a
So
lot of
if you were to
people.
put 100
That's
people in
a
a
lot of
room,
people.
there's at least one person that does suffer with bipolar, which I realized that's the first time we've said the term.
We haven't said
we're,
that.
we're talking about bipolar.
Yes.
And one of the things that we actually didn't talk about with you is there's two types of bipolar.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
it's not just like an overarching one single term for
Right.
like you have bipolar, boom. And then it's also referred to as bipolar depression. So
Yeah.
there's mania associated with it, there's
Mhm.
depression that's associated with it. So I know we touched on some of that stuff with you,
Yeah.
but we didn't touch on a lot of it.
There is a spectrum of like type 1 bipolar and type 2. And what I was diagnosed with is hypomania, which like type 1 is manic bipolar, but hypomania is at the bottom of type 2.
Yeah.
So I'm like at the least terrible
Yeah.
scale. Like I don't know how to say it, but like it gets confusing because I have hypomania, which everyone would think is type 1.
Right.
But it grows worse as I get older.
Yeah.
So at some point, especially if I'm not like dealing with it well, I could get to type 1 mania, and then that's where like hallucinations happen, and like it gets really bad, and I feel really bad for people with type 1.
So
What were you
I
like?
have bipolar depression.
Okay.
So I do have the mania side of
Okay.
it. And man, you're not wrong. It's
Crazy.
tough because those manic episodes. In your episode, you mentioned like having this God complex, which I never thought of until I heard you say it, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Like we talked about this.
Yeah.
Like that's in my mania. It is kind of a God complex.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I am at the best part of myself is how I feel
Mhm.
during it. I feel so powerful and like, so you can't mess with me. Don't try to say that to me. And then as I come down, I'm like, wow, I was really mean. Like that was terrible. Everything. I go back and replay everything. And that's another thing with bipolar depression is like, you replay it. Like you go through it, you have the situation, but then like once you come down from it, you have to replay that. I don't know, have to, but a lot of people
No, we
don't,
do.
but we replay absolutely everything that we did in
Mhm.
the last week. And then now you're hit with depression because now
Right.
you feel like you've just been a jerk to
Yeah.
absolutely everybody in your life who is just trying to be there. And like even close friend of mine is like, what is going on right now? Like, why are you, what is happening? And I'm just like, F you, you don't care.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, oh crap.
I know.
He was just trying to figure out why I was going through that. Well, I was in a manic episode.
Right.
And
And you take everything that they're saying as like they're attacking you,
Yeah.
and like you're defending yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
When you're in the manic episodes, is it easy for you to identify that you're in a manic episode?
no.
I get the same thing.
No, nope. It's very difficult. You don't realize you were in one until you've come out of it.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once you've come out of it is when you realize, wow, I was getting so much done and I was so active, so hyper, so ready to like conquer the world. And at the same time being a complete jerk to absolutely everybody because you're just like high and mighty on your throne.
Yeah.
And then once you come off, you're like, wow, I'm not high and mighty.
Right.
Actually, I'm very mean. And no one deserved
Yeah.
the treatment that they got. So it's a big struggle. I'm learning now just within the last year when I'm in a manic. So when I feel like, oh my God, I'm going to the gym today. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm so like energized. Like if I'm on something that's just like making me go, 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 go. And then I start to realize, okay, I'm probably in a manic episode right now. I should not talk to people that trigger me.
Right.
I should not do the things that trigger me. So I won't drink. I won't do anything that will trigger me when I'm starting to realize
Yeah.
my God complex is happening.
Honestly, though, it's like a situation where when you are feeling good like that and
Yeah.
like doing productive things like that, you want to stay in it as long as possible.
Because you feel like you're doing, like, you're like, oh, I'm getting better. You start to
Yeah.
feel like you're getting better. And then,
There's like no normal. It's either manic or you're depressed. There's
Yes.
no middle ground. And so when you start to feel manic, like you enjoy it because you're like, yay, I'm not depressed. I'm not sleeping for 3 weeks or
I'm
anything.
normal.
Yeah, that's my our manic episodes are when we're normal, and
Yeah.
then we
Yeah.
treat everyone like shit, and it's hard because you want to be productive,
yeah.
but staying in that mindset, you're hurting yourself too, and then everyone around you.
And it's so easy to push people away when you're in manic.
Yeah.
You push absolutely everyone away and you don't even realize it.
Well, because you don't want to treat them badly.
Yeah.
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 How long do these episodes typically, on average, like obviously it could be different each time it happens, but Like on average, how long are these mania episodes lasting?
For me, it's about, I would say like 1 to 3 days, just depending.
Okay.
But then the aftermath is like a week or two where I'm so disassociated from myself, so numb, so it's so weird to say you're depressed and numb at the same time.
Yeah.
But if you have it, you understand exactly what that means. Is that you're so depressed that you are numb, and then you start to disassociate from yourself, and then all you want to do is sleep.
Yep.
That's it for like weeks. But you have to go to work. You have to do like the things that you need to do, but then you become like a mute. Like people are trying to talk to you and you're just like so direct and so quiet that, and they're like, what's wrong? And then you're like, I'm not telling you.
I can't even tell you what's going on in my brain right now.
I want to kind of go back a little bit earlier though. What age were you diagnosed?
27.
27.
Yeah.
Okay. And before you were diagnosed, were you still showing signs of this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So 2019, I attempted suicide. And I was in this constant fluctuation, like really fast highs and lows. Like, I mean, going to the sky and back down within 0.5 seconds. Like, it was so quick. And certain events had happened in my life during that time that just made it worse, like losing certain people, things personally happening to me with health-wise. And so it just kind of did a effect where then I stopped sleeping for 4 days. I was bartending, so then I was out every night till 4 a.m. And then I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing. And then
Same here. Partying
a lot. And it just kind of cycled really quick until finally I had decided he's considered my brother. He is my uncle biologically, but we grew up 2 years apart. So we grew up very close together. So I always knew him as my brother. He committed suicide in 2017. And so in 2019, I realized, I was like, oh my God, if he felt this way, I know exactly why he did what he did. And it seems like a peaceful way to go. It seems like something that it just made sense. And I was just like, maybe, you know what? Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And so I spent a week or two writing like goodbye letters for everybody. And the night I decided I was ready to go, where was I going with
I just
this?
got chills.
Sorry.
I mean, you were describing how you felt.
Oh,
and
yeah.
why.
So then I was trying to figure out, like, why do I feel so crazy? Like, no one wants to be around me. No one, like, I'm having conflict with new friends, with past relationships. Like, everything seemed so chaotic. And then it all seemed chaotic with me. So then I went, and then I was on so many meds when I was in the hospital that I felt like a zombie. And then I came back, they're like, oh, you just have depression, anxiety. So I was like, cool. So then they gave me SSRIs, which make bipolar worse.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was on antidepressants.
Yeah.
Which you can't be on when
No.
you're bipolar. So then there we go with that trend again. So for years I was on antidepressants, and I would find myself just like going in these fast, again, loops of high emotion, low emotion, high emotion, low emotion. I'm like, these are supposed to help. So then I started increasing dose, changing to a different one, going to a stronger one constantly. So I was on 4 different ones
Holy crap.
within 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Because I just kept getting worse. And then the suicidal ideation was happening every day.
Yeah.
Where I'd be driving on the freeway and be like, what would it be like if I just whipped my car the other way?
I have done that so many times.
Oh, that's.
I have thought that so many times.
Even.
Yep.
Honestly, on Easter, I thought that there was like a hill that was like way too much of a hill, and I was like, what if my tire just like.
Yeah.
You know,
what if we
like,
just like?
what?
What if we just did a little this way? Like,
It's
I had
awful.
those ideations.
It
would-
Like 70 or 80. I'm like,
Yeah.
if I just turn
Hit the
this wheel
wall.
hard enough,
Yeah.
what would happen?
yeah.
But then the like logic comes in for me, and I'm like, if I didn't die, that would be awful.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So,
that's
luckily
another thing.
that
I'm like, I could just be a vegetable and
Yeah.
no one would come visit me. So then I started having those thoughts again, and then I found myself one day getting ready for an event, and I was in my closet and couldn't find anything to wear. I had the worst breakdown I just wanted to end my life. I sat in my closet and cried in the dark. And I was just like, what is going on? These medications are supposed to be helping me. So then I went through 6 different psychiatrists, and finally one I found online, And she was like, you are describing picture perfect bipolar. Has anybody told you that? I was like, absolutely not.
Ugh.
I said, nope. She was like, you do not need to be on, you need different medication,
Yeah.
The cold turkey, get that
Yep.
out of your system.
which was terrible.
Yeah.
Getting
A
off
cold
of-
turkey off of any
Oh, man.
actual like neurological medication is
The
it's
worst
so
feeling
much.
on earth.
Yeah, I went from SSRIs to SNRIs, and which it's similar, but it's not the
Right.
same. It's a different classification. So when you're doing that transition, you have to completely get off the SSRIs first and then get on it. But the SNRIs, they have a different half-life than the SSRIs.
Mm,
And it's like I could go 1 or 2 days without my SSRIs and still be like generally okay. If I'm even 1 day skipped off of SNRIs, I feel absolutely just
trash.
yeah.
I feel that sometimes. I don't know which one it is because I'm on mood stabilizers and antipsychotic now. And I'm so bad at taking my medicine. Like, because also with my mood stabilizers, my memory is really bad.
Same,
like,
girl,
short
same.
term is awful. Like, I don't even remember what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to double take it just in case. And so I just don't take it. And it's a lot. It's like it takes forever for me to get back on it properly. But first, what I want to say is like for people who don't know what SSRIs and SNRI,
So
Can you explain it?
selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor.
Mhm.
I don't.
That's an antidepressant.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
an
okay.
antidepressant, and basically it helps with the serotonin release and reuptake in your brain. And so,
Okay.
with people that have anxiety disorders or depression and that kind of stuff, a lot of times, and I was diagnosed OCD, so a lot of times with that, there is just issues with those neurochemicals, dopamine, serotonin, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact science of all of it,
Right.
but it just basically makes it to where your brain can better process and absorb serotonin in your
Yep.
brain and make it to where you're not feeling like those insane ups and downs
Right.
and stuff when you're doing that. So
Yep.
at least that's what I've learned about
Yeah.
them.
No, you're right. So it is a serotonin inhibitor. So it does create that. So when I got checked into the mental hospital, they had said that my serotonin had shut down and that I was not creating it anymore.
Wow.
So when I got on SSRIs, at first it was so beneficial. I was like, oh my God, I feel human again. Like my
Mhm.
brain is actually doing what it's supposed
Me
to.
too, yeah.
And then slowly started
It
to
kind
get
of
worse.
Yeah. No, I've been on, I think, I want to say 5 different types of SSRIs since I was like
Yeah.
15 or 16, because like with any medication, your body like it starts acclimating to whatever it is.
Right.
And there's only so much of it. Like you can't, like there is a max dose that you're allowed to take until
Yep.
it starts getting dangerous.
And then they just switch you to a next one.
Yeah.
You go to the max dose, they
And
switch you to the next one.
That's why which when it comes to that kind of stuff, I even get a little bit iffy just because a lot of times I feel like people don't play an account of just life events. And so like, yes, I might have a little bit more anxiety, but that is one of the issues. Like when I'm talking to my psychiatrist or therapist or something, a lot of times the questions, like, yes, a lot of them do kind of ask about what's going on in your life, but I don't really know how to express of like, this could be what's going on. I'm in the film industry. My employment status and stuff changes rapidly. Being a business owner, my clientele changes. Like there's so much change that happens that could be the trigger for different stuff.
Yep.
For bipolar, I know from what I've learned about it, it's not, there's different triggers for mania, but the bipolar itself is not necessarily triggered by a certain thing as far as I know.
It just comes out of nowhere for
Yeah.
me. Like I've been through a bunch of traumatic experiences, but like
Yeah.
it doesn't like I'm actually more numb to the trauma than
Yeah.
other people
Interesting.
would be. And like I've noticed it because like other people are going through traumas and I'm like, get over it.
Yeah.
But like that's so mean of me to say. Like I never tell them that.
Yeah.
But it's like
But that's what you're thinking.
yeah, I'm like, I'm numb to all that stuff, so you should be too. And it's totally not natural in
Yeah.
any way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's where I guess I would differ from you.
Yeah.
Is I am not numb to it. I actually relive all of my trauma all
Yeah.
at once every single day.
Yeah.
Really?
So I'm constantly like So like being around women, that is a big trigger for me. So I avoid it. So, and I work in dermatology, which is mainly women. So I have a terrible time because growing up, had a terrible relationship with my mom and the women in my family. And so they consider like my first bullies in life. So women terrify me. I feel like when I'm around a group of women or I'm trying to like be friends with somebody, I am a completely different person because I'm trying to chameleon into what I think they want me to be.
Yeah.
And then I lose myself and then everything they do triggers me. And it brings me right back to all these triggers from trauma. So like just little things like that, I'm constantly triggered and reliving my trauma and past every single day.
I mean, I guess I do too. So it's like that like middle ground of like, I feel it, but I'm numb to it. And then if someone else is like telling me about theirs, I'm like, I can't be this person for you.
What you're explaining, I had the exact same thing except with men. Like growing up, like I grew up with a single mother. So I had to learn how to acclimate to how a female thinks and how they operate. And she also has borderline personality disorder and stuff. So I had to deal with those extremes, which bipolar and borderline get very much mixed up. Which there are certain differences in them, which I won't talk too much on.
We'll cover that in a different episode.
But there's still extremes in both.
Right.
And so I had to deal with her extremes and dealing with all that. But because of her stuff, there would be certain men in the picture that caused certain stuff. And like I grew up with an older brother that had his own stuff, and he kind of ended up stepping up to the plate a little bit of trying to act a little bit more fatherly and stuff, where my brain wasn't looking at him as a father, but he was still trying to do that while I did have a father who was in a mental institution.
For bipolar, right?
Yeah. So, yeah.
You're well-rounded.
My father has manic bipolar disorder. And so at the age of like 12, he went to a mental institution for pretty much my entire childhood. So that was like my first little introduction into the world of bipolar. But even with all of that, it made it to where my relationship with men gets very skewed. It takes me a lot longer to trust men. It takes me a lot more to, like, I feel like I have to acclimate to whatever. Like, I'm not the guy's guy.
Yeah.
I'm not the one that's like, oh yeah, sports and beer. Let's fucking do this. I'm like, okay. Or like they'll be talking their guy ways about women and stuff, and I'm like,
you're
in my
so
mind,
disrespectful.
I'm like, go fuck yourself, dude.
Yeah.
Like seriously. But then I'm like, oh, I'm thinking with my not male brain right now, and I don't know how to activate that. But even with bipolar, like I've seen it was such a weird thing for me because the first like 12 years of my life, from my knowledge, my dad wasn't medicated or anything with that. It was just a switch that ended up happening. He was fine for literally like a lot. Like I think when I was first born, there was some stuff that was going on. I don't know when his diagnosis happened.
How old was he?
When he was
when that switch happened, do you know?
I was I think 11 or 12, so he had to been I think 31, 32.
Okay, because that is actually when guys thing. Yeah, so women are more 27, and then guys are like in their mid 30s. Because my brother just got diagnosed and he's 34.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, I was right around there.
Yeah. It's that 25 to 32 age range, and people that get bipolar like just turns on like the light switch.
Literally,
which scares the shit out of me because it is hereditary for bipolar.
It might be a thing to look for.
I know, yeah, and
I haven't seen it in you though. Yeah,
I mean, well, one, I'm like I barely just hit the age where it starts really becoming.
Yeah, but I had like symptoms beforehand, kind of.
I also though like there's different. When I look at the whole thing, there's certain stuff that I notice, and I hate being that person like self-diagnosed and stuff because I'm personally the kind of person that's like diagnosing yourself can be such a dangerous thing because you're just going off of like internet research or doing that.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's a bunch of psychiatrists that don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
When I go 4 years without being properly diagnosed, then I'm like, maybe I should just diagnose myself.
Yeah. It's such like a weird thing. I've seen, I think, slight more tendencies in borderline in myself, which I didn't know was a big thing for men, but apparently it is. but that could also just be due to, I think borderline is more of a trauma response.
Right.
And my childhood definitely had a little bit of trauma, if that is a statement. But it could also be early signs of bipolar, which is just something for me to be on the lookout for.
Right.
Yeah, because it's so similar, right?
Yeah, it's very similar. One of the things that I've kind of recently learned of, like, one of the differences, and this isn't a per quote thing, this is just recreational knowledge that I've kind of consumed. So fact check me, please, if needed. But with bipolar, it's not really triggered. With borderline, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, there is a trigger for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of yeah, it comes on randomly, but there are triggers, like,
Okay.
you know, because like my issues like didn't really start happening until my dad passed away and I was 22. And that's why I got on antidepressants, was when he passed away. And then like some other traumas that I'm not going to go into happened. And then that's when it got worse, where I went to a psychiatrist and then finally got diagnosed bipolar. So there's definitely a reaction to life events.
Gotcha.
You know,
Okay.
and it makes it the worst reactions. You know, because like sometimes like when the random manic episodes happen, it's just like, oh, okay, like I'm a little bit hyper, I'm irritated, like I talk shit to you guys. But then when it's a huge life event, like, don't talk to me. I will, like, even in a manic episode, I'm like, don't talk to me. Like, I've done it to you a bunch of times, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not even my depressive episodes, because I'll feel it and I'm like just like shaking really badly and like can't even form words in a way. So
Or you get this like, I get this like flutter in my chest, like, and I get this like weird, like my body gets really cold and I start to shiver.
Yeah.
And it's almost like something bad's gonna happen and I'm prepared for it, but nothing bad's happening.
But then
That's
you're
like
not
anxiety
prepared for
type.
it.
Yeah.
It's kind of
It's
the same
similar to
way.
that.
Yeah, like when I start to feel like a slight panic, because for me, the anxiety is different from the panic. Anxiety is the thing that lasts more than one day. Like I'll be in an anxiety attack for up to like 2 or 3 weeks, versus a panic attack, it's more severe. So like anxiety is less like intense right then and there, and more prolonged feelings of something, versus the panic is like, I need to get the fuck out of here right now.
Right.
I'm dying type of thing. What you're describing is a little bit more of the panic for me.
Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like mania and just manic episodes kind of is the same as an anxiety attack or panic for long periods of time, because I would say more panic, because we're in this like feeling for two to 3 days of like,
Interesting.
I need to do something, like there's nothing wrong with me, but like, why am I feeling this way? So I have
Right.
to like do productive stuff to make me feel better, and then, you know, sleep for 3 days, and then like
That was one of the things I just recently learned, that like when you first started coming to me with like, oh yeah, I didn't sleep the last 2 days, I'm like, how the fuck are you still like operating right now? Like we'll be on like
You
a job or
just-
something.
You
have
just
to.
do.
Yeah.
I mean, you just do. I mean, there's nothing you can really do about it. If you
It's
can't sleep.
insane,
But,
though.
like,
honestly, one thing that we just got together a couple days ago, and like everything that we were so on point with each other.
Yeah.
It's like reactions to things, but like one thing that the not sleeping for a few days causes is like sleep paralysis,
Yeah.
which I wanted to
Yeah.
have you talk about, because when you said it, I was like, someone else feels this, like literally, because we're like so tired that when we finally go to sleep, like we start seeing these like shadow figures and like these like demons in our room, and so it makes it so that like I don't want to sleep because I'm too tired and I'm gonna get sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
And so that's half of the reason why I'm not sleeping when I'm in my manic episode. And that happened to you, right?
Yep. So when in 2019, before I attempted, I hadn't slept for 4 days, and I was starting to like, I have an abuser that was in prison from my childhood, and I put him away. I started hallucinating him everywhere. I was seeing him everywhere.
Oh no.
I was like, it was to the point where like there was a pile of leaves just sitting in front of my front door, and I convinced myself that he put them there.
Oh wow.
And so then I became like fearful and then constantly paranoid, looking out the window. And then I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's because I haven't slept in 4 days. I need to
Yeah.
sleep. You know what I mean? So I was finally able to get myself to sleep. And I had the worst sleep paralysis ever. There was this demon with bright red eyes, dark figure that like was almost lizard-like, and he would crawl up my stomach and all the way to my face very slowly.
Oh my
And
God.
I would be stuck in my sleep, just looking at him, nothing to do, can't scream, can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I lived alone. So
Are
There's
you
nothing you could do.
like?
yeah.
Are you actually sleeping during this? Is this like in a dream, or is it actually your eyes?
So
wake
I'm
up.
sleeping. If you were to walk into my room and see me, you would think I was sleeping.
Yeah.
But I'm awake
Mm-hmm.
inside.
You just can't
Oh my
move your
God.
body.
But you
yet.
just can't move. So that's why it's sleep paralysis,
Yeah.
because you do look like you're asleep, but you are not. I am
I've heard
wide
of it.
awake. I'm
Yeah.
fully awake
Yeah.
and I'm watching exactly what's happening and can't do anything. My
Oh
body
my
won't
God.
move. My voice doesn't work. Nothing. And you just kind of have to suffer through it.
Yeah, you kind
And
of have
it-
to try to wake yourself up somehow.
Right. And it goes away. So one thing I had learned was to like in my sleep when I'm in that is to remember to say like, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. And so I just
yeah.
repeatedly say that until it goes away, which takes a while.
Yeah.
It's not just a rapid, it's not a quick fix.
How long does it usually last?
Well,
You
it
can't really
depends because
tell,
you
I
can't really
think.
tell
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
So it's like,
True.
it feels like forever.
Yeah.
But it could, I mean, I don't know. It could be like 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
it feels like
That
an
makes sense.
eternity.
Because you can't do anything
Yeah.
about it. And it's just the feeling of like, if this shadow is a real person in my room, I am going to be killed right
Yeah.
now. Like,
My life's
Wow.
over.
Yeah.
So you're just either convinced you're gonna die or convinced that it's gonna go away, but you just have to wait to find out. It's a
it
very
happens
like
all the time.
yeah, and so so every time I slept for 2 weeks, I would have the worst nightmares. I was having like sleep paralysis almost every single night,
Mhm.
and then I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is ridiculous. Like this is not a way to live, and I decided that it was time for me to go.
Mhm.
And then finally, when I got into the hospital, they had me on so many medications that then my mind was like a blank whiteboard.
Yeah.
That's all I could describe. It was like a whiteboard in my mind and it was completely blank. Nothing. It was the first time in my entire life that I had finally not had
That-
thoughts. I
oh
had
my
no
gosh.
feeling. I had no thoughts.
Was that nice?
It was peaceful
Okay.
at first.
Yeah,
At
okay.
first, it was peaceful, but then I'm like, where am I inside? Like, I
Mhm.
didn't have a sense of self anymore.
Well, you don't have like a purpose now that you're
Yeah.
like, you don't have that sense of like what you're doing with your life.
Right.
You're literally just existing. You're not living
Exactly. I
anymore.
just felt like a floating body through the hospital, like
Wow.
watching all these people, and like nothing anybody did made me feel any kind of way. So
Right.
like there was another lady in the mental hospital that I was in. I was there for about 2 weeks. She was inbred with, so she had a lot of psychological, her dad and his sister
Oh, no.
are her parents. So she had a lot of
Yeah.
right.
disconnections, and she would scream up and down the hallway for her nicotine patch, and she would just bang her head against the wall. And like usually something like that, if I were had to seen before I went in the hospital, I'd be like, dang, I feel bad for her. I'd have
Right.
some type of emotion to it, and I would just watch her like if I'm watching TV.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was like I had no feeling. Like I would just watch her, and then she would want to like come color with me in the like rec room, and she would sit across and just like spill all of these things out to me, and I just
Mhm.
could not feel for her.
Yeah.
And at
So
that
that's what
point-
I was just mentioning. Like, I can't feel for people.
Yeah.
Really?
So so that was only when I was there, like
Okay.
on tons of meds.
Maybe that's just how I cope with it. Like, I don't know.
It could be a coping mechanism to just numb yourself to it so that it's
Well,
just
I mean, there's trauma blocking. A lot
Yeah.
of my stuff, I trauma block.
because I did that. I was telling you about like I represent it as like a closet. So for a long time, my main goal was to get out of my environment as a child.
Mhm.
It was the worst environment ever.
Mhm.
And so I worked very hard. So I was a straight A student. I went to school every day. If I missed the bus or if my mom didn't wake me up or couldn't get me to school, I would cry. I would cry like because I just wanted to go to school. And so I was like, I have to graduate high school. I have to go to college. I have to get this career because I have to get out. This is my goal. This is my only thing. So that was my mission.
Mm.
And I succeeded that mission. Once I got into that mission, I had no more mission.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what the heck? And then I started living on, met somebody, dated for a while. And then I moved out on my own and then the closet that I had flooded all of this trauma and just tucked it away and put it away came falling out on me like a bowling ball from the sky, just right hard in my lap.
Wow.
And it sent that, I feel like, was the first trigger to then my spiral down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And not only that, but I had moved out on my own, had a breakup to somebody who like I'm really into like the spiritual mediumship channeling kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And she had told me that I was going to meet this person who was going to change my life. And he was going to flip my life upside down.
Mm.
And he gave me a name. And the name is what I looked for 2 years.
Mhm.
That name never showed up. However, I met somebody and the initials to his name spelled that name.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
And so then I was like, and instantly when I met him, I knew, I was like, this is the person. God, am I ready for this? I don't know,
Right.
but it was forced me into it.
Mhm.
Whether I was ready or not, it was
Yeah.
meant to happen at that time. And so that breakup happened, and then I lost a baby, and then my brother committed suicide, and then I lived on my own. And
So there was just a lot of
it was
piling.
within like 2017. Brother died. 2018, met him, lost a baby 2019, moved out on my own
Okay,
2019.
so just-
and it just was just like,
Wow.
Just things compounding left and
Yeah.
right to just
Yeah.
continue.
and I
to
think
add.
that all happening really triggered the bipolar to turn on.
Yeah.
Ah,
And I didn't
okay.
know about it until 3 years later.
Wow.
When I was diagnosed.
This is literally the same story that I have. Like, I had the same situation, and like, I met this guy who I had a psychic tell me that I was going to meet this person that was literally half and half of my previous 2 exes, and he went to my high school and like was literally half and half of both of them combined. And then he ended up like being super like toxic, obviously, and he would tell me like at the very, very end of our relationship, he was like fueling my like paranoia when I was in like my episodes, and was like, there's people outside your door, like you're so unsafe, like don't even go into your
He
living
was
room.
telling you this
Oh
stuff?
yeah, he would be in my room and he would lock the door and he'd be like, there's 20 people in your living room right now, and I would just like open the door and there'd be nobody, and he's like, no, they're out there. And like, so he was having his own problems, you know.
Shit.
And I
Yeah.
just felt so unsafe. And so like she told me the same thing of like he's gonna like rip me apart. And like
Yeah.
when I first started dating him, that's when everything got like so confusing, and like people manipulate me all the time, including
Mhm.
him. And like then I was like, you know what, I have to take this into my own hands because there's something wrong, and like everyone's telling me I'm crazy, but I don't
see
feel
it.
crazy. And
Yeah.
so they would tell me that I would say certain things, and I'm like, I know I would never say those words. But then they're like, oh, I'll record you next time so you can see. And I'm like, please do.
Yeah, please.
Like, I need to know.
Yeah.
And then that's when I got diagnosed. So like that's crazy. But I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I lost a baby and did the same thing.
That's wild.
I know.
That's kind of trippy how close our stories are.
I know.
Like,
Besides the
It's-
childhood, you know,
Yeah,
but like all
the
the like reasons
leading up to it, like
Yeah.
that is that
It is
my
wild.
brain kind of right now is like,
So you said you went to 6 different psychiatrists.
yeah.
What made you continue to pursue seeing them? Like, what made you not just be like, you know what? Because I know a lot of people that like they'll try 1 or 2 people and be like, you know what, I'm fine on my own type of thing. I'm curious what kind of led you down the path of continuing to try.
Hmm.
So that person, he was a big like, I more so fought for myself for him, not for myself.
Mm.
So as long as he was in the picture, I was going to fight.
Mm.
And so I was going to keep seeking. We ended up getting back together, and I was like, okay, I can't keep thinking I'm going to kill myself every day.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that's unfair to this person. And I didn't really give a shit about myself. I was just
Right.
like, whatever,
Yeah,
I don't
you
care.
can't do it for yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
But I also was like, I'm affecting this person I'm living with and I'm
Mm.
trying to build with. And it was just something I felt I had to do. Like, going to the mental hospital was not my choice.
Yeah.
He forced me into it. He's like, I'm not leaving until you go. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, I want you to leave. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm going, and that'll be my time without you.
Mhm.
And
Well, I'm super
So
grateful
sorry.
for him for doing that.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
It's a tough call to
Me
make,
too.
but sometimes it's those calls that do need to be made. Like,
Yeah.
Honestly, the fact that you reached out to him though in the first place because you were alone, and then you reached out to him, and he came.
He reached out to me.
Oh, did he?
He came.
Really?
To me.
He came without knowing, like, because he felt something, or
Kind of, in
Okay.
a sense, yeah.
that's good.
Someone
That's like
led,
an angel.
yeah, someone led him to me. So
Okay.
someone that did know where I was at
Mm-hmm.
reached out to him,
Okay.
and he showed up.
Good.
Yeah, he
Good.
just showed up.
Yeah.
I was like, go away, please.
Traumatized, yeah.
like, go away, please. No,
Yeah.
I am forever grateful for him
Mhm.
and his parents. They're still my parents today.
Mhm.
I mean, I still see them, have lunch with them. They're
Mhm.
still very much a part of my life.
Mhm.
But I never had a support system. So I think to your question is like having that small support system that wasn't biologically related to me was like a huge thing because they chose that.
Mhm.
And it was the first time in my life that I had been chosen
Mhm.
by someone. So I had to choose to fight in order to
Yeah.
give back to them.
Mhm.
with it though, how did you know to like distance yourself from a certain psychiatrist or try another one? Like to
Yeah.
not stick with the same one and just try whatever drug they told you, to experiment with that? Because when it comes to getting professional help, one of the things that I do try to tell the I'm a huge proponent for getting professional help.
Right.
Is you're dealing with a human being. You're dealing with an imperfect, like, I don't care where they went to school, what kind of background, it's still a human being. So
Right.
they're bound to imperfection. They're bound to whatever happened in their life.
Making
that-
human errors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it is a new, like I can't even count the amount of therapists that I've been through, the amount of psychiatrists that I've been through.
It's hard for me.
And it's a hard journey. It is such a hard journey to open up that many times or trust, like begin to, especially when you already have trust issues naturally,
Yep.
be able to trust that like my life is in your hands. You're giving me chemicals that do have the ability to change my brain,
Make or break me.
Exactly. So I guess my question for you more lines up with what made you continuously try the new person until you were able to reach that one person that was able to help?
So I am a huge believer at there's going to be people in your world that are meant to be in your world, and you're going to know exactly how you feel when you meet them. For example, I have followed you and have known about you for a very long time, but the timing of us meeting was never aligned until now.
Yeah.
And I know and feel like securely like this is aligned and we have met at the perfect
I
timing
think so too.
where both of our lives are aligned and
Mhm.
you just feel that feeling. This is something you can't describe for me. So when I got out of the mental hospital, in order to leave, you have to be set up with a therapist and a psychiatrist to take over meds and have therapy. So they sent me to two people. I went to a therapist and it was telemed. So I mean, the psychiatrist was telemed, the therapist was in person.
Okay.
So the therapist I went to for 4 years, towards the last year and a half, it started to feel like no more care. She was in the middle of our sessions getting up to go walk out to the front, or I'll be back, I'm going to go grab my lunch really quick, just hold 5 minutes. Then she would like eat her salad or her food in front of me while we're doing session. And then it started to become, okay, I'm telling you the same stories over and over again and nothing's happening. Like, I don't feel any better. Like, and so then I'm like, is this a me thing or is this a you thing?
Right.
But then I started to really process, okay, I'm feeling abandoned and neglected because she is stepping out every 5 minutes out of our
Right.
session, which I'm paying you $140 to
Yeah.
be here for an hour.
Well, that's it.
And 20 minutes of this hour, you have abandoned me to go do other things. So that shows me you're not critically thinking right now.
Mhm.
Your mind is not here where it should be.
Mhm.
Your mind is out there, outside in the front office,
Yeah.
which is showing me that you're not connected with me. The psychiatrist was telemed. I will never do telemed, any kind of psychiatry. So I went to her for maybe 6 months, and every session, every week, something would happen. The TV would go out, the mic would stop working, the camera would stop working. She would have bad reception because she was in Italy and I was here. So then she would cancel on me because of whatever. So then I'm like, okay, well, you know what, whatever. So then I'd do research, I'd find another one. Then the next one, I was too self-aware of what was going on that she didn't know how to assist me in being that self-aware and also doing her job.
See, that's what happens to me all the time.
And so, so then I was like, okay, then you can't help me because you can't get to the level of self-awareness that I have and be able to guide me through that and help me in the way that you should know how. And so then I left her, went to the next one. And then it kind of just, the trend became that either I was too self-aware of myself that they couldn't help me professionally, or that I felt like they weren't the right fit for me because their mind was somewhere else. And then I found, her name's Jennifer. I found her on Cerebral, which is an online app thing. And I had one session with her and I was like, oh my God, like this clicked, like very quickly it clicked. And I felt like she's the one that diagnosed me bipolar.
Okay.
So once she kind of configured everything and took me off meds, put me on the proper meds, like we worked through, she had me do like these assessments and these tests and all these things. And I started to feel better. She left the company, went somewhere else.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So since then, I really haven't, my primary care has been taking over my meds. And so I haven't really found someone until recently, a new therapist, and she is also leaving that company. So where I felt super connected to her, I loved her outlook. I loved her solution-based, she wants to do the best, and she's leaving the company because she feels like she can't give her best support. Because they only see you like once every or twice a month. And she's like, I can't properly care for people for 30 minutes in a 2-session a month thing. I need something more. Legally, she can't tell me where she's going.
Dang, I was going to ask, because can't you follow?
I can find her, but haven't had any luck with that yet. But so legally she can't tell us where she's going, but she's very unhappy where she's at. And she just told me last Friday that she's leaving. So
it sucks.
It's gotta be something that's meant to be, because then the next one might help.
Yeah, but it like triggered, like I didn't realize how much it triggered my abandonment. It triggered my abandonment. So I was just like, oh my God, I found something good and they leave me. And so earlier when you said everyone leaves, I'm like, girl, I know. Because it feels that way. It feels like everyone
good
that you feel is good for you and like you feel aligned with, they always leave.
And that is one of the things that, like, I am a huge proponent for professional help. Don't get me wrong. But that is one of the big things that I do think needs to be fixed, is like have a contract or something for these therapists that they're dealing with such sensitive stuff. And like, I've had abandonment issues my whole life.
Right.
I went through 5 therapists in 1 year because they were all students or something, or they left, quit, whatever. And so I stopped going. They're like, why did you stop doing therapy? I'm like, because I had to relive my trauma 6 times in a row in the same year.
And don't you feel like hopeless? Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, you feel like hopeless. Like, so that's why I stepped away from it so long. Like, it's been 2.5, 3 years almost that I haven't had a therapist or a psychiatrist. And it's because I've lost hope. Yeah. I have lost complete hope in it.
At the same time, I do know of...
That's what this is for.
And I do know that there are certain people that's one of the reasons why I have kind of started gearing towards private practice, of like an individual who owns their own practice or is on their own.
Psychiatrist.
Because typically for them, they're not part of a giant system of like, oh, my bosses are doing this, and so if you can afford it, I definitely always recommend those avenues, because they can control their own stuff. They can be like, I control the amount of sessions that we do. I control the amount of time that we have. It's not an overarching.
That was the first therapist I had straight out of the hospital that I saw for so long.
Really?
And at first she was doing such a great job, and then it kind of slowly trickled into like, this is just a job. Like, I don't really care. And so I was like, okay, well, private practice is not it either. So, but recently, the therapist I feel is a good match, and I am going to try to find her, because I had all these health issues. You know, my gut was terrible. I was having leg cramps, and just a few months ago, and I was having all these weird symptoms in my body. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Something's wrong. Something's going on. So it really scared me into like finding a primary care. And then I found the primary care, and I was off my meds for bipolar for like 2 months. And I'm actually really proud of myself. I didn't spiral as fast as I thought I was going to.
Hell yeah.
I was able to like keep manage, but then I started like getting addicted to the gym and like cooking and like stuff like that. And which really helped me get through not having that. So I needed to get back on the meds because I was not sleeping. And you can only take Tylenol PM for so long. So without, causing damage.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, well, I can't do this. And I already have an autoimmune liver disorder, so I can't really be on that stuff anyways.
Yeah.
And so I was like, God damn it, well, I guess I got to find another primary care.
Yeah.
So it forced me into that. And with their policy, if you're taking antipsychotics or mood stabilizers and stuff like that, you have to do a questionnaire. Well, my questionnaire failed. It was terrible. She was like, this is actually the highest number I've seen in a while. And I was like,
Is that a good
oh.
thing?
She's like, yeah, we're going to have you go to our in-house therapist. And so she not forced me, but she pushed me into that. 'Cause she was like, only way you can get your meds is if you see her.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Because on the questionnaire, I had a question like, do you feel like you'd be better if you weren't here?
Yeah.
Is how they word it.
I did that once.
And yes,
Don't
that's
answer
very
that
true.
question.
Yeah. And then they ask you like, why do you feel like you want to kill yourself? I'm like, the question said, do you feel like you're better off not here?
Right.
That is not, for
Trick
me, that's
question.
not, it is a trick question. It's not the same as, do you feel like you want to kill yourself?
Yeah.
It's, do you feel like you'd be better? Yeah, I do feel like I'd be better off.
You
In the
don't feel
world,
like your
you know what I
purpose is
mean?
being served, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then once I saw her, I had the first session. Weirdly, all those symptoms went away.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All of the symptoms went away. And then I was just like realizing, okay, well, that's what whoever the holy monster is in the sky.
Right, of course, because you actually need help, and then you can't get help because you're not feeling it in that moment.
Yep.
I feel that's what has kept me away from therapy, because like every single time, like I can't call to like come in until I feel better. Right. And then when I come into the session, they're like, so what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm in a manic episode. I feel great right now. And like, you're not going to help me in that scenario.
I feel like that's where the specialists part comes in, because when I was younger, before I was diagnosed with OCD, they were just treating me for generalized anxiety disorder and depression. And while yes, they go hand in hand, the person didn't, like, they diagnosed me OCD, but they didn't know how to treat it and the way that it needed to be treated. There were certain things that I like, certain affirmations that I needed to have, certain types of exposure therapy, or just there's like a whole different type of treatment for that. And even for something like bipolar, it can be, the symptoms can be treated, but the actual thing itself, if that's not treated, you're just plucking off the leaves from the tree. You're not uprooting it. And so unless you're going to somebody that has a special, not just like, oh, like I see some patients with bipolar, but a specialty in being able to identify like, okay, I know exactly what happened. You say you're in a manic episode. You say you're feeling amazing. Let's ground you a little bit.
Right.
Let's bring you back down a little bit. And that's where the new forms and stuff of therapy come in, CBT or possibly EMDR. I don't know how well that
so
works.
With the therapist, which I loved what she said was, I am solution based. I want to get to a solution. I want to reach your goals and what you want to become as a person, which I realized, like, I don't really know myself. I don't really know who I am. And she was like, I specialize in trauma processing. And that is huge for bipolar, because I feel like a lot of the trauma things that you hold on to make your bipolar almost like worse, because like I was saying earlier, is I live my trauma every day. I like hold on to it like it's armor, and it's what I identify with. It's how I identify myself, actually. When somebody says, tell me about yourself, I tell them all my trauma. So I trauma dump on everyone. And it's like something I've just recently realized is like, I don't really know who I am. Like, I don't really have an identity outside of trauma in my career. Like,
see, literally
that,
me too.
And so she's like, and I said, in my body, I'm so in tune with my body that I can feel that it is trauma that's keeping me in this hamster wheel, running in circles constantly, in this feeling of being stuck, not being able to evolve or bring in abundance in my life. I'm constantly in this like over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm like stunted almost.
Yeah.
And I was explaining that. She was like, that's really good insight. Like the fact that you can think about that yourself without a therapist, like that's really good insight. I'm like, no, I'm very aware, very in tune. And she's like, well, that is what is causing your bipolar to like spike so much, is that you're not processing the trauma. You're just consuming it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so she recommended, like, it's called IFS, internal family systems. It's more of a spiritual aspect of processing trauma. It's a newer thing that not many therapists are doing. And then she recommended EMDR.
Tell me more about what did you just say, the family?
IFS, it's internal family systems. So I don't know much about it, just based on what she's told me. So yeah, I know.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So
I'm the
Because
researcher.
I am needing something.
So it's internal family systems. So you work through, because she had asked me about my story, and I had told her like from childhood up until now. And she was like, I think IFS is going to be perfect for you. She's like, it's more spiritual bound, but it's also like processing the traumas from family systems.
Okay.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
from when you're born with your mother, how that affected blah, blah, blah. And then like kind of trickles down and all the traumatic things that have happened throughout your family.
Wow, I need that so badly.
Yeah, and it's like processing through understanding and seeing where these traumas originate from, not from you, but from family.
I
Yeah.
might need to look
Because
more into this.
as a child, your brain is like a sponge, right? This is how she explained it. Your brain is a sponge, so you're absorbing everything, whether you know it or not.
Right.
You're absorbing everything.
Oh, absolutely.
And so as a child, all the things that your family is doing and that you're seeing and that they're telling you and that they're treating you and that you're watching and things, that is becoming you. And so internal family systems is also
Dealing with that.
Dealing with
kind
that.
of understanding what
yeah.
happened so
Right.
that you can get over it. Interesting.
So I
can
found like
process
a
it.
definition on, like, this is the general definition on Google, but it's applying family system concepts to intra-psychic realm. The internal family systems model proposes that individuals' sub-personalities interact and change in many the same ways as do families and other human groups.
Okay.
Interesting.
That didn't say anything.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Okay.
The mind is naturally multifaceted with distinct parts or sub-personalities that hold different emotions, experience, and beliefs. The core self at the heart of IFS, it is the belief that each individual possesses a core self that is inherently compassionate, wise, and resourceful. The self is a wise leader within, capable of guiding and supporting internal parts.
That's what you've
So
been saying,
it's
right?
kind of like, well, what I just like thought of here from that is like that, like doing like DMT and stuff, being able to see oneself outside of self here.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I think that's
That's literally
because she was saying it's more of a spiritual thing, because I was telling her
Yeah.
about like my ability to like speak with people who have passed over, is like process all of that. And she's like, oh my God, like IFS is going to be great for you.
Yeah.
Just haven't found somebody who does it.
Unfortunately, it is difficult to find therapists that do a lot of those modern types of therapy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I am shooting a documentary about ketamine, and it's literally being implemented in helping people with bipolar, because it kind of goes hand in hand with that IFS situation where they're literally there's a documentary that I'm shooting. It's not something I've tried yet, but I'm going to. I literally told them that I'm gonna come try it. But they inject a certain amount of ketamine into your body, and they like make you like a comfy bed, like blankets, and like they blindfold you and they put this like music on so you're not aware of what's happening around you. But they have like therapy sessions beforehand to find out like what it is that you like
Need to
you
process.
need to process and stuff, and then they tell you while you're in this trip to like say words that come to you as you're tripping. And like I literally watched this girl trip for like an hour and a half, and she was just like saying random words, and they were typing every single one of the words, and then afterwards they have another session of like, okay, so these mean this part of what you were saying you need healed. And then she
Oh,
said that there
wow.
was like the main amount of sessions you need to like fully for them get over whatever your trauma is was like 8 sessions, and it's like the minimum is 3 sessions for it's $2,000, but they have like a personal payment plan thing, so you don't need credit or whatever. And so I was like, and they're like, literally the healing is more important to us than like us getting paid. And I was like, okay, because I'm poor.
Yeah, right. And that's
Honestly.
like the thing too with it's so expensive to like help with mental health. It's
Mhm.
like the things that actually work are like people
there's-
know that, I feel like, and they charge you like up the wazoo for
Right,
it because
yeah.
they're like, well, you do need it.
I know. And then they do it's like an hour long or 30 minutes. And you're like,
Right.
you can't help me. And that's
And that's one
That
of the
short
things
amount of time.
Yeah.
with modern medicine that I wish was emphasized more is the fact that like when you go to a lot of these behavioral health places, they are stuck on the corporate type of stuff that's been in practice for the last
that
century.
doesn't work for
Instead
anyone.
of
Yeah.
like
They're like, FDA approved it.
Yeah.
So,
like I've
Don't
been
care.
hearing a lot more with like whether it's bipolar or depression or something like psilocybin stuff.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of new research with psilocybin with bipolar, depression,
Mhm.
anxiety. Obviously, like it's dangerous for somebody who doesn't know anything about
Yeah.
it to
Yeah.
possibly just I'm gonna take a bunch of shrooms and
well, yeah, please don't do
Right.
that. Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
take a little
don't.
bit,
versus
microdose
like
first.
being in these controlled
Right.
environments. Like I'm terrified of psychedelics.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
absolutely not. But if I was in a controlled environment with scientists that are like, if anything happens, we have all your vitals, so we know how much to give you to where you're not going to
Yeah,
overdose, but
right.
we also can make it to where,
I mean, I can help you with that.
well,
He's like, oh, well.
You're like, I don't trust you at all.
Well,
but
it's-
I'm the
it's-
best person.
it's
to
in
do
that
it.
it's in the environments where like if you start having a bad reaction to something,
Yeah.
for some
Right.
like you
I
wouldn't
could
know
coach
my,
you. I could coach you out of it.
but like you wouldn't know my body chemistry to know if for some
Right.
reason psilocybin is reacting to a medication that I'm on or something.
I don't
like
think that would happen.
But
I think
it-
that's it.
Yeah, but like
there's
the
always a slight possibility
Yeah.
you don't know chemical
but that's
reactions.
like your fear of
Yeah.
that.
I feel like if you just need to have control of your mind, and then
I
if
mean,
you feel
it's
like
possible.
you don't
very
have control
easier
over
said
it.
than done.
Yeah.
Yes, like,
But I can say that like I have done microdosing within this year. I have done shrooms plenty of times,
Yeah.
and I've microdosed, and I've also done like ceremonies with hape and like
Yeah.
that's like ayahuasca and smoked tobacco. And I have more insight to myself
Mhm.
when I'm on those things.
Yeah.
So like at first I was really scared of them, like especially mushrooms. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I was terrified. I'm like, what if I have a scary trip? And like, I started thinking like the demons are going to get me this time because I'm
Right.
like opening that channel. And so all those
Mhm.
demons that, I have been able to like push away in my mind, and they're
Right.
going to come back and they're going to take me.
right.
So then I'm like tripping out on that. So, you know what? I'm going to do a little bit. So then I
Mhm.
did a little bit, and then I was like, I feel okay. I'm going to do a little bit more.
Mhm.
So then I did a little bit more, and then I'm like,
Mhm.
I feel all right. And I just did a little bit more as like, I felt good.
Mhm.
And then I was in a full trip.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But
Yeah.
it gave me a lot of insight to myself that I thought I already had, but
Mhm.
didn't really know how to articulate it in words.
And your connection to the world too,
Yeah.
and like other people and how they are.
It does open you up to like this, it not in a way that like DMT would or like
Yeah.
anything like that, but it does open you up into a way of like processing with love and kindness, which is very tough for me because I've always been, people around me are like, you're the most caring, thoughtful person I've ever known. And I'm like, that's not how I feel about myself.
That's so
That is
weird.
not how I feel about myself. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm like the devil.
I feel like we overcompensate though because we do feel that terribly about ourselves. So
Yeah.
then we actively like kind of kill ourselves for
Oh,
other
absolutely.
people.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I'm
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
like that. A lot of people are like, you like get walked over so much, and like you're such a pushover in certain things, and I'm like, I'd rather that than the opposite. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'd rather be able to serve others and help people, and like for me, like in my faith,
Right.
serving others is the core thing.
Yeah.
And like whatever faith you're in, that's literally usually the core of everything. Like
Right.
you feel the best when you're serving other people,
Yeah.
when you're
Mhm.
doing something for good for another human being. And even with when it comes to any of those other illicit substances, like I just get nervous because like even marijuana,
Yeah.
I have nothing against it personally. However, the effects on me, it causes the worst paranoia. It
Oh, it
causes,
does for me too. I think weed's like totally different.
but it can also just be it's a synthesized version now.
Yeah. So I was a pothead for a long
Me
time.
too.
I was a hardcore stoner for a while.
Me too.
Until my brother passed away.
Yeah.
And then I ended up having like surgery, found out about my liver autoimmune disease. I was in a very health crisis at that point. And then he passed while I was going through all of that. And so I went completely vegan for like 6 months. I quit everything, drinking, smoking, everything. I was like cold turkey, all stuff. And then I came back to it and had the worst
That's
paranoia
Exactly what happened to me.
of ever. Like I was like, oh, I don't like this
No.
anymore. Like this is not something. So I didn't do it for like 7 years.
too.
I stepped away from it. Just recently, within the last year, I've like dabbled in it a little bit. And I'm starting to realize that it's not making me paranoid anymore. I actually have the best, like, I love to write and like poems and like write my feelings. And
She really is.
I love to write. So like, if you see my captions, that's all like me processing trauma. And I do them in my notes on my phone or like on my computer. I'll like process what I'm feeling, and I'm usually stoned. Like,
Okay, yeah.
So, and it like helps me to like really think. And like, if the TV's on or like my dog's barking or like, I have to turn everything off because I'm like, these things are like in my mind. I'm like, these are so important. Like,
Yeah.
I need to get it out. But like, everything's distracting me. So I'll like turn the TV off and I'm like, Leia, go over there. Like, and so, and then I'll able to like, actually it happened last night. Not gonna lie. Last night I was processing something and I was like, oh my God, this TV is too loud.
Yeah.
Stop, turn. And it helped me to like gather what I was saying. And then I made my post and my caption.
I'm using the opposite way. I
processed.
need this. If I don't have some sort of stimulation around me, that's when everything goes to shit. I need some sort of.
I
have enough stimulation up
Yeah, I
here.
need
that I don't need
silence.
anything else.
Literally.
That's the problem. I have too much stimulation up here that I need a physical
yeah.
form to be able to distract me from the other stuff.
That's so weird.
Do you think that's like more so your OCD?
I think it could be. There's multiple things. So I personally cannot be in silence. I have tinnitus. So when I'm in complete silence, all I hear is this super high pitched ringing sound. I was a stupid kid who shot guns and went to concerts without anything. And so my hearing got messed up. And I also had the surgery where you get tubes in your ears for ear infections. To where like now if I'm in complete silence, it gives me a migraine because I just had this insanely loud just ringing. But aside from that, just because of the demons in my own head, if I have no stimulation around something to give my brain and body and stuff something to do, I start then going into maybe it is OCD stuff of just like thinking all these things, destroying myself, of consistently like, oh, what if this, what if this, what if that? And like,
so your outside noise calms the noise inside.
A little, to an extent. Obviously, too much can be
or distracts. I would say distracts you from the noise inside.
Like if I have something to hyper fixate on, hyper focus on, that's where I operate the best. Versus if I don't, then that's when I start to really let those demons kind of win and like really talk down on myself and really kind of relive the trauma.
That's so interesting how it's like you have to fixate on something to like avoid those noises. Whereas for me, it's opposite. I hear the noises and fixate on that. Like I don't have something that like I fixate on to distract me. My mind literally controls me every day. Like I will be like, oh my God, he's cheating on me. I will fixate on that for hours and just find something. I never find anything. But I find, you know what I mean? I find something like that's just an example of like I hyperfixate, then I put myself in a manic episode or I'll put myself into this beat down myself kind of mentality or hyperfixate on well, they're going to do it to me anyways. Even if I didn't find anything,
Right.
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because it has happened before, kind
Right.
of thing.
Yeah.
You can
You're
go.
right, sis.
It's
Go for
okay.
it.
It's
No,
not.
no.
It's not for you.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
I was gonna ask. We know that bipolar has a lot of genetic and
Mhm.
hereditary type of aspects to it.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else in your family
Yeah.
that has it?
Yeah. So actually, my brother, he wasn't diagnosed, but I really think he did because his suicide was like a shock to everyone.
Mhm.
Like he was the yes man. He like protected me my entire life, and when he died, it was like I felt so unprotected in the world. Like I was telling her at dinner to the point where like an ex-boyfriend stole all of my stuff out of my room when he was staying the night with me because he was addicted to heroin that I didn't know about. He hid it so well. And I was crying to my actual brother and my actual brother's girlfriend was his little sister. So there was like this brother-sister thing that I was with the brother, he was with the sister. And so he's like, well, that's your fault. And like became aggressive with me because I was upset that his girlfriend's brother stole my stuff.
Oh my
So
God.
then it was like me and him like clashed. So then I was like, you don't care, blah, 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 whatever. Like we're supposed to be like this. And so then I called my other brother and he was calmly says, don't worry about it. I'll get your stuff back. I'll call you later.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Calls me 6 hours later. He's like, I got all your stuff. I'll pick you up from work and I'll take you home. I beat his ass as well. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right. And I mean, when he said he was going to do something, he was going to do it.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's just one instance. My entire life, he was that way with me. I was the only girl for the longest. So like my brothers would come pick me up from class in high school, walk me to my next class. Like I wasn't allowed to like date anybody in high school. So I was like gay. I had a girlfriend all 4 years of high school. And so like his friends were always watching out for me. They'd walk home with me so that I wasn't walking home by myself.
my
Like he would
God.
make sure that I was protected in every sense.
Wow.
See, he's who I visualize myself as.
Yeah.
I grew up definitely the protector as well, and it wasn't the fact that I was afraid of fighting. I've always been more afraid of the possible outcome of what I would do.
Yeah.
I grew up a fighter like crazy. I grew
Right.
up, when you grow up the small kid that everyone likes to pick on, you
Yeah.
gotta learn how to.
When you grow up the only white girl in all Black and
Yeah.
Hispanic communities,
Okay.
you have to learn.
So, but that's the part that destroys me is the fact that
You don't
I've-
know what your level of like what you're in,
Yeah. Well,
how far you could go if you did
I don't know
it.
how far I could go, but it's also just the repercussions of
Yeah.
like I don't want to do something that regrettable and then be living with that consequence for the rest of my life. I don't want to
Yeah.
like I've built my life in a way that like my future is brighter than the sun.
Right.
I have such huge things. Obviously, I still want to protect those, and it's not to say that I'm more important than anyone else.
Right.
But it got to the point when I see other guys that actually go and do that kind of stuff, it's because for them, they're not chasing the purpose big
Yeah.
enough to where they're thinking twice about like, well, am I going to be able to do this in the future? For them,
Yeah.
it's in that moment of like, I'm going to go kill him right now.
Yeah.
And I don't
I
give a
love
shit.
that you say that because the one thing with my brothers, he knew he was never going to make it to 25.
Yeah.
So he said that our entire lives that he would never see the age 25, and he died at 23.
Hmm.
So, and he knew it. He knew
Yeah.
it. And so he didn't really, I mean, his life excelled so fast at such a young age that like his kids are set for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Like, and when he died, they were 4 and 2.
Oh my gosh.
So like he worked so hard so quickly because he knew he was never going to meet
That's his
And that's-
25.
burning out.
So that was his thing is like, I'm going to protect whoever I need to protect because I know I'm protect. I mean, he could have lost his life many times. I mean, when he was a baby, his esophagus wasn't growing all the way.
Mhm.
So they didn't think he was going to make it. Well, he did.
Yeah.
And like, there's so many life things that had happened to him that he bypassed death. Like, how?
Yeah.
Why?
Mhm.
To only take your own life. So it was
Right.
very hard for me to understand. But when I step back and look at it now, he definitely had bipolar
Yeah.
because the traits that he showed, like he was the kindest person, but he also had like a very dark side to him.
And that's definitely how
And it triggered
It's so half and half with me though, because
That's crazy.
I hate like the initial confrontation is what I get not scared about. Like even we were the last time that I had to kind of get a little physical. It was the last day that we were shooting Spark.
What?
The freeway thing, did I tell you about that?
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was I was driving on the freeway and there was a girl that was driving and her passenger was this guy. In the car, I could see he was attacking her. And they stopped at the stoplight. She bailed out of the car and immediately like I parked my car. I had 911 on the phone and stuff. And I was so torn in two of like, do I go step myself between these people and do this? And eventually I did end up like kind of confronting him. I didn't get too close because I've also been in enough situations to where you don't know what they got.
Yeah.
You don't know if
Couldn't
like
have
they're
You have to be
carrying
mindful,
a
especially
knife.
in today's world
Yeah.
as well.
And this guy was not
In
okay.
Arizona.
Like this
Yeah.
guy, you can tell that like there was a very, very high chance that he had something.
Yeah.
And I'm
wasn't going to
sorry,
put yourself in that.
like
yeah.
I was able to get myself between them and not let him get to her. But there was a part of me that's like, I could have rear naked choke. Like I grew up in
Yeah.
MMA. So I'm like, I was thinking of all these different situations. Like I could have done this. I could have done that. I had another friend that her boyfriend beat her and stuff. And my girlfriend at the time was like, oh, we got to go over there. And I'm like, well, I'm like thinking of these excuses of not to go. Not because I don't want to do it, but because I'm like, well, I don't know if his dad's a lawyer or something.
Yeah.
And he's going to be like, you beat the fuck out of my son, so now you're going to go to prison for the rest of your life.
That's good that you think that way though. Like you're like kind of 2 steps ahead of things.
Yeah.
Whereas my brother was not. He
Yeah.
would do
That's-
the like craziest things, like so calm, like
Right.
so.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's a story. It's a pretty dark story, but his girlfriend at the time was cheating. I don't know. I don't really know if she was or not, but he had suspicion that she was.
Yeah.
And he punched her front mirror in her car, like her window, and shattered the entire thing with just his fist.
Wow.
And the neighbor across the street from my house saw him do that, called the police. Well, my brother calmly waved at the neighbor with his hand bloody,
Yeah.
sat down on the curb,
Waited.
for the police. The police was like, are you whatever? Asked him his name, and he was like, yeah, stood up, put his hands behind his back, got in the car.
Mhm.
Like he would do the craziest
Yeah.
things so calmly, and that's just like shows me like the bipolar.
Yeah.
Because like you, and then later on in the week, he was like buying her a new car
Right,
and like
yeah.
trying to make up for these things that he did. And he's like,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to do those things.
Right.
I didn't like this or like this. And in a mediumship thing, he had come to me in spirit and had said like, I didn't mean to kill myself. I was just hurting and I
Yeah.
didn't mean to take my life.
He did tell you that.
He
huh?
did. He told me,
Wow.
I did not mean to take my life and tell everybody I'm sorry. Like that
Yeah.
wasn't my purpose. That wasn't what I wanted to do. I
Right.
just wanted to hurt myself enough.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was pretty much how it was for me, even like when I was a fighter.
Mhm.
It's not at all because of other stuff. It was because like I've been on different medications that made me numb.
Mhm.
And growing up that way, I had to prove myself. And
Yeah.
a lot of times, like physical pain has always been easier for me than emotional pain.
Right.
So if I could get into a fight with somebody, like I would literally punch walls and stuff
Yep.
and pretty much break my knuckles and play whatever just so I could see the blood on my finger.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause that blood
That's
was the
me. I
therapy.
mean, I'm all scarred up
Yeah.
from that self pain. And then we learned to do like the rubber bands.
Right.
too.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
it's made me like doubt my protector abilities in certain aspects, but at the same time, I've also been like, no, if he shows up here, like, there's no doubt in my mind that I won't do something.
I think yours is just like you're mindful about like I think how do I say it? Like you're so like you know what your future holds and what you
Yeah.
want for your future that it keeps you grounded in circumstances that if you didn't have that to look forward to.
Oh, if there was no repercussions,
like
I would
you
fucking,
would-
I would have
yeah.
just
Same thing.
Right.
even when I was actually fighting somebody, I would juke them out to make sure they got the first hit.
Right.
Even if I had
Yeah.
to fake hit them or something
Yep.
or
Yeah,
anything,
100%.
Me too.
I always had to make sure, I'm like, as long as you get the first hit, I can finish it.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
And But it's just like, it's pissed me off so much. I'm like, why couldn't I have fucking knocked that guy out? I know I have the power. I know I have the ability, but then I'll talk to someone else.
To.
I know. Well, I'll talk to someone else and they're like, well, did you see his waistband? And I'm like, no. And they're like, he could have had a gun.
Yeah.
If you would have gone up to him, he could have been methed out. And if you're finding someone that's on something like that, they're not going to get knocked out.
Right.
They've been able to tase people like that, and like tasers don't do anything.
Right.
So it's
it's being aware though of your surroundings, which I feel like my brother did not have. My brother's like, I did not care. Like he was driving once, driving by, he was not even, I don't even think he was like involved in it, but like he just was driving and drove right into a drive-by, and the bullet skinned his back. And that was another instance where he could have taken, like his life went straight through his driver's, like his passenger side door, right to his seat. The bullet skinned his back and went straight through the back of the seat.
My God.
So like he could have died, but
my first medication did that to me. I was so numb that like I was living in the ghetto in Flagstaff, or as ghetto as you can get in Flagstaff. I heard gunshots about just down the block. There's like one street that's going down my thing, and I hear pop, 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 pop. First thing I did is I ran towards it because I had whatever thing in my head saying I could help. That like there's a person over there that's dying, and I can go help them. My mom's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And like I came back, she's like, so you hear gunshots and the first thing you do is you run towards it. I'm like, I don't, like at that point I was like, I don't care about me right now. Whatever. If I get shot, I get shot. I get shot doing something I wanted to do. Like I literally was at that point.
See, I'm like the opposite of that. I'm like, I don't care enough about people to
You're like, I'm sorry you put yourself in that circumstance, but you're on your own.
I mean, I have my own shit. Like, would they come help me? I don't know. And that makes me a terrible person. But like,
I don't think it makes you a terrible person. It makes you a different person.
There's been moments where like people have hurt themselves in front of me, and like I'll help them, but like not in a situation where I don't know where you're at. Even I'm gonna run at you, like, and potentially kill myself. Like, I'm just not that type of person.
I think before I was diagnosed with bipolar, I would put myself in like certain situations, hoping that it would tragically take my life.
Well, I've done that a few times too,
but like not trying to like help somebody, but but putting myself in dangerous situations just to potentially end my life. And then when I realized it wasn't happening, I was like, I guess I gotta do it on my own. But
going back to your brother though, like I feel like it's got to be so hard for you to lose that protector
person. It was very difficult for me. And I think an old friend who we're not good terms, but she would ask me every day, like, come country swing dancing with me, come dancing with me, come dancing with me. And I'm like, no, I don't. I was like a hermit. It was like, I did not feel safe in the world, so I wouldn't leave my home, like, when he was gone. And finally, one day she caught me on a good weekend, and I was like, fine, I'll go. And that was the next 5 years of my life. So I went out 5 days a week and danced, by myself. And then I met that person, and I finally felt like a sense of safety again. So that really helped like me heal from my brother. And now having gone through like the suicidal ideation, understanding where he came from, understanding why he did what he did, and like,
and then him coming to you.
And then coming to me and telling me like so many times different things, it really helped me like heal from that. But still, like, my abuser just got out in October after being gone for 13 years.
Has he like come
at you? It's back to that I feel unsafe again feeling. So that's something that I've been processing through the last few months.
Yeah. I just had something hit me the other day of like a super traumatic experience that happened to me where I was not safe at all and I thought I was going to die. And like for some reason, like I was so numb to it the whole time. It happened 4 years ago. And like now the last like 3 days it's come back up and like has just been like hammering me into the ground. And like I have had like since then, like I'm afraid to go to the grocery store by myself. Like I can't do it, especially at nighttime. And like I can't go to gas stations at nighttime by myself. But
that's me right now. Like at night, once the sun goes down, you will not find me outside.
No, I can't.
I have a terrible time.
Does that help if you have
if
Someone
I'm
with
with
you?
someone,
Yeah.
it helps. But if I'm like just by myself,
Hell, I'll go with both of you guys.
I'm like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I
Like
was telling her the
at
other day.
night because
Mhm.
the person that I put away, I put him away. Like
Yeah.
I had to be there in front of him speaking
At
about the
court.
things
Right.
that he had done to me. Like, and this is a family member. So it's
Yeah.
not just some random stranger, that just abused me. This is a family member whose family, the reason I'm not involved with my mom's family is because
Mm.
they take people back like this.
Yeah.
And that's not something I want to like experience walking into someone's house at a birthday party and he's sitting there.
Nope.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so like those are my fears is like, I'm going to pick my little sister up one day and he's going to be standing outside talking to everybody. Like, or I'm going to go to oh my gosh,
Mm.
I went to Costco and I was walking down an aisle and there was this guy coming this way and I was coming this way. He hadn't gotten out of prison yet, but this guy looked just like
God,
him.
it just
shit.
makes you
Just
freeze.
like him, and he stared at me in my eyes. Like as we're walking, he's staring at me in my eyes, and I'm looking at him, and I froze.
Yeah.
I stopped moving. I literally stopped moving,
Yeah.
and just like, and maybe that's why he was staring at me because I stopped moving. But
Right.
like the whole time he's walking past me, he's like
Right.
staring
It could
at
have been your like family member
Oh.
like channeling through that
my
guy.
God, it like gives me
It's
goosebumps now
kinda
because it was like, and then I was there with a friend and she's like still walking around, she thought I was following her and she stops. She's like, Helena, what are you doing? And I was just like, and I broke. I just started crying. I hyperventilated, I had the worst panic attack. And I was just like, that's him. I saw him. That's him. So then I call my grandma. I'm like, is he out yet? Because she's the one that always updates me. Like, this is his get out date moved up and blah, blah, blah. And so she's like always kept track for me. And so she's like, I'll call in the morning. She called in the morning. He was still there. So I was like, okay, cool. That wasn't him.
Mhm.
But that just showed me like
How
Where
easy.
you
how
are.
easy, but like how easy it could be for
Yeah.
him to just show up.
Right.
Like the world's so small
It is.
that that could have been him.
Mhm.
And what am I gonna do? Freeze?
Yeah, no, that's
Like,
exactly what I would do is freeze. And like, what if
Freeze.
they're gonna attack me and I'm just frozen? I can't do anything about it.
Like I just took 13 years away from their life,
Yeah.
from their children, from their wife, from their
I'm the
families.
same way. I mean, I probably even at the site, like there's 2 instances, like I haven't confronted any of the people that have done shit to me. But now that like I'm bigger and older and
Yeah.
stuff, there's like the initial freeze, but then there's the next, you fucked me up, I'm gonna
Yeah.
fuck you up even
Yeah.
worse type of thing. And
But it's just like 13 years he could have been contemplating what he's gonna do to me.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
That's like those are the things that I hyperfixate
Yeah.
on, and like,
It's like
those
a
are the things
story-
that go through my mind.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well,
I
there's
start
like a
making
story that
scenarios.
you
Because that's
wanna
what you would
be
do.
able-
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's what I would do.
Well, there's like the story that you want to be able to do, but you don't know what's gonna happen until
Right.
you're gonna like. I say right now, like, oh, I see him on site. His
Yeah.
life is being ended, but at the same time, there's that other parts where like the subconscious part of your mind starts kicking in, and
Right.
as bad as you want to, and that's where I've seen in those instances of the protectiveness is like. Right now, if someone comes to the door, I can fuck them up, no problem, because
Right.
I'm in the state of mind. But if I'm in that other state of mind, that kid part of me comes out
Right, the
of
child.
that part of me that was dominated
Right.
and abused by guys and stuff comes
Yeah.
out of like that squirrel part of me, and I have to already parent myself in my head like, hey, you're older now, you're as big as him,
Yeah.
you have a chance now.
That's so awesome that you can think that way.
Yeah.
From like, for me, I get trapped in that little girl,
Mhm.
and I think that's where the freeze comes from. Because I'm normally like in fight or flight. I'm fighting. Like,
Well, the freeze comes to me too.
Yeah.
It's not an
but
instantaneous thing.
the fact that you
enables-
can like talk yourself into like I'm an adult now. Like
Yeah.
I don't get to that point where I'm like I'm not that little girl. I'm like, no, that little girl wakes up and she consumes me. Like
It's
Yeah.
not
that's
an
who I
instant
am.
thing though. It takes time. It's not an instant thing of I see them and I'm an adult. It's for the first bit, yes. But then I have to like train my like
Yeah,
it
you
takes
have to
a
train
minute.
yourself
Like,
to do it.
If I was around them for solid 10 minutes, then I can guarantee probably minute 8, I would be in that state of I'm gonna confront him, I'm gonna say what's up and do that. But for those first 8 minutes, I'm like, fuck, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah.
What do I
The
do? What do I
scared
do?
little boy. Yeah.
See, for
Yeah.
me, mine happened when I was 28. So I don't have like the childhood thing.
The child.
And I just know that they were all very much bigger than me and like still absolutely are. And like if I saw any of them or if they were all three there together, like I would not know what I would do. There's nothing I
think
could
about
do.
it. I'm like, what would I do if I ever saw him? And before I was so angry that I was like, I do the worst things. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do whatever. And then when that happened in Costco, I was like, oh God, I would just freeze.
Yeah.
That's what would happen. And so I still think about it today. Like if I ever ran into him, like what would I do?
Yeah.
Would I be this confident woman that I'm trying to be and like not let him, because in a sense, I'm letting him have power over me by controlling me, even though he's not around.
Right.
He still controls that little girl
Yeah.
who controls me.
Right.
So would I be that or would I be like this scared little girl?
But you're allowed to be afraid because of
Yeah.
what happened. And like, yeah, we haven't like healed from our trauma or whatever, but like you don't have to because it's your body like protecting yourself.
Yeah.
And even if you did freeze like and you didn't confront them, it's okay that you left or like
In moments like that, that's where I kind of sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
fine.
I kind of get the mentality of everything happens for a reason. There's a reason I didn't. Like in that instance with the attacker. Yes, I was in my head a lot about being a protector, but at the same time, I was like, it happens for a reason. I don't know what would have happened if it would have escalated to the point of where I wish it would have now.
Yeah.
I don't know what could have happened. What happened was meant to happen that way to lead to right now. I'm in this position now. I'm safe.
Yeah.
I'm in this like whatever type of situation because of whatever guiding force, whether you want to say God, the universe, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I've always believed that everything does happen for a reason. So like if you do freeze in that moment, maybe it's good that you froze. Maybe it's good you didn't provoke him. Maybe it's good you didn't enrage something, because like in those instances to where you wish you did fight, or those instances where you wish you did like, oh, I'm so much bigger, why couldn't I do this? It's like, well, you don't know how they like, you're accounting for your own emotions and reactions. You don't know what's happening in their head to where it's like one little thing happens, I'm going over the edge.
Right.
So it's like, and you don't know what that trigger could have been. And so that's where I kind of sit and like, you know what? It's okay that I froze, because I froze and that made it to where now I'm in my bed. I'm safe.
Yeah.
I'm away from the situation. I'm
No,
good.
thank you for saying that, because I'm a big believer in like things happen for a reason, but where that applies or where they apply that to is not in those instances.
Right.
So like, thank you for saying that, because that is true. Is if I did see him and freeze, like you're right. If it was meant to happen any other way, it would have happened those ways, but it's happening the way it's supposed to. And I forget that
It's hard.
often.
Yeah.
It's
Like-
honestly, it's so hard to remember that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you want a certain outcome to happen. You want
Right.
yourself to be able to do something.
Yeah.
You want a certain thing, but then the overall grand scheme of things, it's like, maybe it's not supposed to happen.
Because
that
on the
way.
other end is like when my brother passed, my family was like, oh, Michael should be here. He should be here. And I was, I think, so in my grieving and anger stage that I was like, no, if he was supposed to be here, he'd be here.
Yeah.
Like, and they're just like, how can you be so mean? How could you be so
I hate
morbid? And
that.
I'm just
Oh my
like,
God.
no, if he's meant to be here, he would be
Yeah.
here. Like, what don't you guys understand about that? Is he's not meant to be here. That's why he's not.
Well,
Yeah.
they're
And-
not in his head. They don't know the stuff that he's feeling, his thoughts and stuff.
Right. And they didn't understand that. So, like I said, I applied that concept to many things, but
Yeah.
I've never applied it to like
Right.
that specific
Yeah.
situation.
Well, he is like in the spiritual way too. Like
Yeah,
he is
protecting
with
me
you.
for sure.
Yeah.
No, I know that for sure.
Yeah.
I
get
know
what
that.
you're saying,
No, I know
Jackson.
that. I know that for sure. But like with the abuser, I never put the concept of this is happening for a reason
Yeah.
Yeah.
there, because seriously, like years ago when I was like thought he was going to get out or preparing for this time, I thought I was going to be with somebody. I was going to be living out of state. I wasn't going to be. No, I never thought that I'd be here in Arizona living on my own by myself.
Right.
Like when he got out, I thought I was going to be protected by somebody. I was supposed to have a life. I was supposed to be living outside of state. Like that was my goal, my plan. So then it was hard for me to be like, oh, right. When I got the letter that he was out, and I was like, oh shit, I am scared. Like I
Yeah.
got locks for my door. I got
Yeah.
a camera for my patio. Like I started going full protective mode for myself.
Yeah.
And I couldn't grasp the concept of like why this is happening to me. Like, why am I alone during this time? Like, this is not a time I should be alone. And I did
Right.
not expect to be alone by myself, living on my own in the same state. And
Mhm.
I was not prepared for that. But then now, just now, like while we're talking, it's like kind of processing for me that like I went full protective mode because I protected myself. And it was the first time in my life that I've actually like
And you're able to
Yeah.
independently
took steps
do
to like
it.
protect
Your whole
myself.
life. Well, and the way I look at that is your whole life you had another person to rely on.
Mhm.
Now, not only are you able to independently learn how to protect yourself, but and I
Like I went
don't-
full mama
I
mode
don't-
on my own self.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
want
good,
this-
'cause you care.
No, because I
don't want
care about
this-
myself. Oh God.
I don't want this to be downplayed or it's come off bad or anything,
Yeah.
but it's also the fact that you don't know now what's in his brain
Yeah.
after 13 years of being there. If
He could like
He
want
could-
forgiveness or something.
it
too.
could be a different story for him. It
Yeah.
could be like you're thinking of a certain thing because you've been in a certain life for the last 13 years.
Right.
For him, usually in prison, and this is just from having friends that have gone to prison and stuff, if there's a person in there for sexual crimes, it is not a good time for them, especially
Yeah.
for something that's like you're a predator.
Yeah.
They
He's lucky
actually-
he made it out alive.
They actually
Yeah.
put predators together now.
Yeah, they put him
Yeah.
in a separate part of.
Yeah.
I actually got a letter from because I was the one that like did the whole trial and
Yeah.
stuff.
Mhm.
They update you, and so got a letter stating that they had to move him to a different part of the prison where
Mhm.
most of the predators are.
Yeah,
It's a
'cause they
different
don't
part
attack each other.
because of that reason
Yeah.
specifically is that people were attacking
But
people. So they separate them. I mean, I know prison things could like you could get things done the way
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
want to, but like part of me, sadly, not sadly, but part of me, everyone has this dark side of them, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Part of me hoped that something would happen to him,
and that's okay to think that way.
and when it didn't, and then now I'm
Yeah.
like, what is this trying? And now I'm recently like, what is this trying to teach me? What is this giving me? Like,
One of the mentalities that I think could possibly help to remember is the fact that remorse is a thing.
Yeah.
And he does still have a soul. People
Yeah.
generally don't try to do something out of evilness in their heart. So for him, it could
I
be.
disagree.
Well,
I'm gonna slightly disagree because my family is pretty evil.
Yeah.
And they
Well,
do
generally-
things to hurt. I mean, they do things
but
to.
usually it's for a benefit for themselves.
Right.
It's usually it's not for the purpose of a bad
solely hurting you. It's
Yeah.
hurting you because they're hurt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they feel
But-
better.
and even that aside, it could be like, who knows what's like you could whether you believe in prayer or
Yeah.
manifestation or something, instead of focusing on like what is he going to do when he sees me, of I hope he's healed, I hope he's no
Yeah.
longer
Yeah.
even thinking about that
Me
kind of-
at all.
Yeah.
I hope that he's doing his own thing and growing himself and
Yeah.
making sure that he's living his own life. I don't want to interact with him and kind of put
I think that's part of that forgiveness without
Yeah.
an apology
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of thing is something that I really struggle with.
Mhm.
And that's something I know I struggle with is like forgiving people even though they didn't say sorry. And then the forgiveness is not for them, it's for
Right.
me.
Oh, I
Yeah.
had to do that with
And
my
holy
mom.
crap, like I know the concept, I
Yeah.
understand it, but am I doing it? No.
No, of
Like,
course not.
Yeah.
You don't
But-
need to.
but it is a good reminder for you to say now is like just kind of keeping that in my mind.
It's just the energy shift that I
Yeah.
focus on instead of focusing on
Right.
what could happen. All
Well,
of
you're
those-
still
no, you're
need to.
absolutely
Well, yeah.
right.
well, yeah, you
As
still.
a female,
you have to
to.
still-
they have to have that balance.
Yeah.
But being able to also just try to focus a little bit more on the positive could be's instead of just the negative could be's,
Yeah.
balancing that. I
No.
think for your own
Yeah.
sake.
And I
like,
appreciate you saying that because
Yeah.
it is something
And-
that I'm currently working on.
I
and
say this from a man who has gone through sexual abuse, molestation, all that kind of stuff. The amount of times I've visualized the shit I could do
Yeah.
to some of these people, the stuff of, oh my God, what's going to happen with this? And I need to be prepared versus like, you know what? I hope he heals in whatever way he needs to heal.
Yeah.
I hope that I'm able to live my life peacefully. He's able to go through whatever he needs to go
Right.
through. Like, yes, this happened to me. Is there anything I can do about it? No.
Mhm.
The thing that I can do about it is try to get some sort of
Right.
positive. And I know that a lot of people are like, there's no positive.
Yeah,
whatever.
way to think about that.
Yeah.
But
It's hard. But
you're right.
I think
Crap
about
my
it
brain.
like,
I
when you
guess-
want to see a red
Yeah.
car, you're going to see a red car.
Yeah.
I guess it's a way that you can think about it is like you did do something about it
Yeah.
and he did get
I
put
did.
away. And like 13 years is a long time.
Yeah.
And like they get a bunch of therapy and stuff in there. And
Yeah.
like hopefully that he did like go on the like
Right.
on the like peaceful route. And like if you
Yeah.
ever do see him again, you probably will freeze because like you got a test in that Costco and like now you know.
Yeah,
But
that's oof, light bulb.
But like hopefully the positive side of it is
Yeah.
that he won't be aggressive and like maybe when you do see him it is with your family like
Right.
because you're already on eggshells with your family in
Right.
case he is there and that's probably where you'll see him and so you'll already be prepared in that way
Yeah.
but he'll be around your family which like hopefully will stop something this time you know
Yeah.
I know that they probably won't
I
but
would,
there's
I
at
would,
least
I
witnesses
could say, I could alter my brain to think that way, but
Yeah.
I know deep down who they are
I know
and who they've always
Oh,
been.
it's-
So it's very difficult for that. But I think those are like the things that like what I said earlier is like wearing your trauma as armor.
Mhm.
Is like I wear those traumas versus thinking of the positive things.
Yeah.
Like, you know what, maybe he's not thinking of me.
Yeah.
Maybe he is healing and doing, maybe he is repenting for the things that he
And
does
it's
and
not
he's
to say
trying
that,
to. Like,
you hope
maybe
for
he
good for him
is.
because
Yeah.
obviously he did bad for you.
right.
But it's the peace for
That
you.
brings
It's just
for
in
me.
the thought part.
Just-
like you
just-
don't have to actually
Yeah.
think
Instead
through
of-
it.
I mean, thanks for like, I mean, really, like right now, my brain, you can probably see my brain is like kind of going
Well,
right now.
It's
but
how I've had to think. Cause
no,
like,
I definitely appreciate you saying those things because just now it's like, just in the conversation, my brain's still going, but
Mhm.
like, it's almost like you saying them is giving me permission
Mhm.
yeah. And
because I'm actually thinking about them and processing them. So,
which and it's sometimes it is the permission that you need to hear, and especially from someone that I've had to go through this pain too. I've had to realize like the relationship I have with my mother was so skewed for the longest time, but she has her own stuff, which makes it to where I can't put blame on her.
yeah.
And for the longest time, I had this remorse or this feeling towards her of like, I just wish you could feel this pain.
Yeah.
But the other part of me is like, you know what? I don't want you to feel this pain.
Yeah.
I'd rather, I'm my own stable person. I'm my own person that's seeking to break this chain of trauma and stuff. I'm happy to take on the burden of learning how to heal, learning how to forgive you, learning how to focus on the present and the hopeful future of having a relationship and hoping that whatever higher power that you have is willing to come down and heal whatever needs to be healed.
Yeah.
My
That-
God.
But that's a situation where like for me, like I know that my family will never ever change.
and-
like
and sometimes
ever.
Yeah.
sometimes you have
So I
to.
don't need to
Well,
like
there's a difference between forgiving and
But-
forgetting. There's a difference
Yeah.
with. It's not to come and say you need to have a good relationship with
Right.
your family. You
Yeah.
need to have a
Right.
good relationship with this guy. It's your own peace that you need to have with this
Yeah.
person.
like I know
is
that
not
you-
allowed to have the control over my own emotions that he currently has.
Right.
It's the whole thing with literally hatred is you drinking poison hoping they're gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
just you like saying that right there is like so grateful to be invited to even talk with the two of you about these
Yes.
things. And because this is something I told you is that I am currently realizing that those are the things that I've been doing. Like I want to hurt you so bad
Mhm.
and I want to say the most harsh things to you because you hurt me and I want you to feel how I feel.
Mhm.
And I do that with the one person who has supported me this whole time through this like mental health journey because he did hurt me a lot and
Mhm.
I want him to feel my pain but at the same time, I don't want him to feel it.
You want
And
him
I'm
to
starting
feel-
to get out of that.
Mhm.
And I'm like that with my mom too. And I'm like, you hurt me so bad growing up. Like, I want you to be miserable. And that is a part of me that I do not like.
Mhm.
What I've come to realize, you don't want them to feel the pain. You want them to give you the reaction of the pain that you had, but to have
to
them
acknowledge what
yes,
they did to you.
you want them to
Yeah.
have the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
You want
Yeah.
them to realize
But
what
like
they
even
did.
the person acknowledging it, like
Doesn't help.
doesn't do anything.
But
Like
there's
it
that-
makes me still like
That's where the reaction comes from.
yeah, you're right. You
There's-
acknowledge it, but like
The thing is,
still feel pain.
there's still a difference in emotion versus reaction.
Yeah.
You have an emotion and stuff, and what feeds the emotion is the reaction.
Right.
Because even if you were to do that, if they didn't give you the reaction you're hoping for, it still wouldn't feel the same.
And he doesn't.
Yeah. And so
He's like, I don't know.
He's a guy. No offense to you.
I
No
know.
offense to guys.
And
but,
my
like,
mom doesn't give me any. She's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're miserable. You did it to yourself.
Yeah, that's
It's
what my
just-
mom says to me. She's like, "It's your fault." I'm like, "Is it?"
Yeah,
It's my
it's your
fault.
fault.
and sometimes that's where
Whatever.
the distance and separation
Yeah.
is the best medicine.
Yeah.
Like you can
No.
in turn like
Definitely.
forgiveness doesn't have to be you going up to them and saying I forgive you.
Yeah,
Right.
'cause
It's
they don't even need to
The
know.
internalization of
They don't get
And they
this
don't care
luxury.
either.
well, it's this happened to me. Can I change it? No.
Yeah.
Can I grow from it? Yes. Can I
Mhm.
learn how to internalize it? Can I use it as a benefit, whether
Right.
it's to help other people that have gone through it? Can I use
Yeah.
it to change? Can I use what they gave me, turn it
Right.
around, and instead of sitting there in that darkness, use it as light, whether it's learning how.
Poetry.
And I think
Yeah.
this is like I think this is like the perfect timing in my life to like do something like this. I've never been on a podcast before. I've never nothing. I hate
Yeah.
my voice, by the way.
So-
But
Oh, I do too.
I think this is like the perfect timing just based on like everything you've said in the last few
Mhm.
minutes is like these are like the internal processing that I'm currently going through and
Yeah.
currently moving towards. Like I was telling you, I am so like wanting to hurt people that hurt me, and like no matter how much they want to change and show me that they change, I will not allow them to
Yeah.
because I keep bringing them back to
It's fun.
a place of pain that I cannot get myself out of. So
Right.
I want them to live there with me. And it's just so unfair to me and them because that's what keeping my life in a stuck circle is.
Yeah.
And these people want nothing to do with it.
Right.
When I want them in my life and they don't want to be in my life.
Right.
I'm going to say something so cliche, but it is the most true thing ever. The best way to get back and give revenge is to better yourself in the best way. Because a lot of times when someone's hurt you and they see that you're stronger than ever, a lot of times they feel even more shitty about themselves, about what they did. So a lot of times,
just
Yeah.
knowing that they're never going to take
Right.
in what that they've done for you. Like
yeah, knowing that you were able to grow as
Yeah.
a bigger
they don't
person.
care. I know
Yeah,
what you're saying.
Yeah,
I know what you're
that
saying.
family isn't. This one person has done so much, and I
Yeah.
have just
You have to kind
beaten
of
him down,
Yeah.
and it's unfair. And I apologize to him and to myself for that because
Yeah.
I've made our life miserable for the last 3 years, and it's been terrible.
yeah.
And I have been the most evilest part of myself.
Mhm.
And I have realized that I do these things because those things were done to me by
Yeah.
people who will never change.
Yeah.
And this is the first person in my life who has hurt me and has wanted to change
Yeah.
and has made the actions to change and become a better person. So it's like looking at watching a new movie that I have no idea about, where this movie's comfortable. I know what happens next. They never change. And so I'm used to holding people to that standard. And this is the first person in my life that I can't hold that standard to because
Yeah, 'cause
he's
it's
not
changing.
doing it.
Well, that's really good of you that you are realizing even now that you've done this to other people that haven't deserved it. And maybe he did deserve it in like a couple of terms, but not the
Not the extent.
repeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
Like,
but it has to happen like that you understand it now.
yeah, and
so-
it's taken me a while, but it is something that I've realized not only affects him or the people around me, but it's mostly affecting me.
Oh, 100%.
It's making my bipolar worse. It's making my depression worse, my disassociating from myself and not learning who I am, not knowing who I am.
Mhm.
It's all become such a hard place to be,
Mhm.
Yeah.
to like I've had to take a really dark look in the mirror at myself and see how much of my own suffering that I'm giving myself.
Yeah.
Because I won't change and I won't let go and I won't move forward.
Well, in those moments though, like with bipolar, you focus so hard, like so hard that you can't get over it.
Because you're just like fixated on it.
Yeah.
But like the more, I think there's been a few things that have happened that's kind of awakened me, and my life has been moving at an Excel pace in the last month because of it. But like seriously, watching your podcast, just you being so open and vulnerable about your coming out is like something that I'm so embarrassed about, and so like not something I want to share with people or see people. So I don't make friends. I don't like hang out with people. I don't do these things because I know in a few days I'm going to be triggered and I'm going to be the worst self. So I don't want to make friends with you.
That is exactly how I felt. There was an episode of one of my favorite podcasts that had an OCD specialist on. And when I was like, even before my diagnosis and stuff, and even after, I didn't ever let anyone in what the thoughts were of, like, a lot of people have their own thing of what they think OCD looks like. And OCD, it is ranked in the top 5 most crushing diseases known to man. And that's including cancer because of how intrusive it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The thoughts that would fill my head, I don't know how I'm alive. The amount of times that I told myself that because of how I'm having these thoughts, that I'm the biggest piece of shit in the world, I don't deserve to live, that all this piling on top of each other. And then to hear the specialist come on and say that these are all a normal thing for this disease, for this disorder. It was, I almost had to like stop my car. I'm like, what the fuck is she saying right now? Like everything she was saying was everything I was internalizing completely. And I was like, I needed somebody that had the voice, that had the ability to verbalize what we're thinking, what's going on in our brains, to be able to say it. Because
not only that, but like giving permission. Like, so I've known of Kayla for a long time, and I'm just like, she's just so powerful. She's like, look at the career she made, and like all the beautiful things that I've heard from other people, like how much of a great mentor you are and how you light up a room and like all these things. And I'm like, that's a person I want to meet. And then like never really happened. And then I watched your podcast, and you being this idea of a person that I thought you, not that you aren't, but that I created of you. And then to see you come out about that. And I was like, it gave me like a holy shit. Like
it changes everything.
Yeah. Like you cannot judge, not that I was judging you, but judge a book by its cover. No matter how beautiful the cover is, there's depth to this person. And you being so vulnerable and open about it, like gave me permission in a sense.
Yeah.
Because only person that I know that's had it are 2 people that are dead.
Yeah.
They're no longer here.
Yeah.
So I don't have anybody to like relate to. And like I have a best friend, she's been my best friend for 22 years, but she'll understand when I am short with her. She doesn't understand when I go so long without it, or talking to her, or she's just like, sorry for being mean. I'm like, you're not the one being mean. But like, you know what I mean? I don't know how to like explain or express or put into words what it is that I go through. So when you did your podcast and were saying all these things, I was like, yes, yes, oh my God, yes. So it like gave me this, like, no matter how beautiful a person shows themselves to be, and no matter how inspiring they are in this realm, they can be just as open and inspiring in this realm once they choose to be vulnerable and open about things that are embarrassing. Because like bipolar, being diagnosed with that, I hated myself. I was like, this is the most embarrassing thing. Like this, it may mean it makes sense, but like this is embarrassing. Like when I'm having a thing at work, like how do I tell my job, yeah, I have bipolar? They're gonna be like, gotta get her out of here.
Right,
like
I know.
Well, it's only embarrassing for one reason. And that's because it makes you feel alone. It makes you feel,
does.
It makes you feel like you don't belong.
It makes me feel
as
completely
biological humans.
alone.
we want to fit in. We want to, everyone puts on that mask, that persona that they're normal. But the statistics completely show a different thing. Like I said, 1 in every 100 people have bipolar disorder. And somehow, but it's in that aspect of like, even me, having anxiety disorder, depression, OCD, it makes me feel alone, but I know so many other people out there have it.
Honestly, the reaction that I've gotten for this podcast is like so many people that, again, like I thought that they were like didn't have any problems, and I've caused problems for them like on set and all these things. They've come out and said like, I want to be on your podcast. I have this, I have this. And so I just hope that it also like in like how you were able to like feel less embarrassed about it. Like it also shows you that like you're not as bad as you think. Cause like if you think that I'm a good person and stuff like that.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
It's like
not,
you're
not a bad person.
You opened a door for me, and not a door I was looking for, not a door that I was expecting to see or be able to walk. I know, and like that, it just came up on my reel, and then it said like I just read bipolar, and so I was just like, I'm gonna watch it. So I watched it, and I was like, oh my god, like this is wild, but it, in a sense, like is part of my awakening. Just hearing. Altering the idea of you that I had in a way that is related more to me and aligned with me has been one of the tokens that has opened my awakening. Yeah. And so for that, I will be forever grateful for you, because I know how hard it is to be vulnerable, and that takes an amount of strength that not a lot of people are willing to, not even I was willing to let in.
Not a lot of people are.
Yeah. So for the rest of my life, I'm going to be forever grateful for giving me acceptance when you didn't really, wasn't a plan of yours, but it really did. It really.
I mean, that was the point of it. It was like, I just wanted to get my story out so that people would start understanding me and like stop like blaming me for everything and hating me for things that I couldn't control. And like the like response to it has been just incredible, and like I didn't expect this at all. And like honestly, to like have someone like you come out and say that I helped you in the way that I did, and like I don't have the ability to really make friends with girls either, and I think that we're gonna be pretty good friends after this.
I hope so. Yes.
When I came to you with this, I had no idea what it would turn into.
Yeah.
I knew that with both of us, the fact that like we're both in the same industry, we both struggle with mental stuff that affects us in so many different ways, and the amount of other people, it was a no-brainer. And I mean, it was one of those things that like you having bipolar, the fact that my other best friend has bipolar, my dad has bipolar, and I still don't know jack shit about it.
Yeah, I know.
I was thinking earlier when you were saying that about your people having it just kind of was something that came to mind. It was like maybe you being introduced to this at such a young age and has gotten you to where you are now. And it's like a thing, you're attracting these people because just the words that you're saying now are already putting light bulbs in my head and changing things, because your outlook on things, no matter how dark you've gone through, like your outlook on them is things that we don't see, and we don't see, we don't have, like those are not things that we can't process. So to have a person like you who has a background but knows nothing about it but has experienced it, that speaks more than you knowing things about it, because your words are just like healing.
My thing is, and it's one of the reasons why like I came to faith myself, and that has nothing to do with really anything other than just my own healing journey. I didn't know why I was born into a family with a mom who had gone through the worst trauma you could ever think of, and then a dad who had to leave because of this, and then go through the shit. Obviously, I had those thoughts of myself of like, why me?
Makes sense now, huh?
Why?
True. Makes sense now.
When I was in high school, my school counselor, and I've mentioned this one or a couple other times, my school counselor told me, she's like, I don't know how the fuck this is happening. The shit that you've gone through, I've met your mother.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I don't know how you are the way that you are. And for me, I'm like, I don't know. I piece things together, but it's also like my dad having bipolar. It's the reason I'm able to like
Understand on a
me and
deeper
her
level.
first met. When
Not
me
a lot
and
of
her-
people can meet us that way.
No.
Well, that was the thing. When me and her first met, I got ghosted 5 times in a row.
That's very true.
I literally,
awful.
I live almost an hour
That was
away.
really bad.
I live almost an hour away, and I drove all the way over here,
You
and she
did.
canceled on me as I was already over
No,
here.
he was sitting like in my driveway.
Oh
basically.
my
And-
gosh.
But the thing is, because I know the mentality, I have experienced people like that. I was like, you know what?
You give grace.
If I was if I was
Yeah.
in this position, what's the one thing that I would want right now? Patience and grace.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not that she doesn't want to see me. It's not that she doesn't want
It's
anything
nothing
to do
personal
with me.
to you.
It's the
Yeah.
fact that I don't know what's going on with you.
For you to see me the way that I was that day was like not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But that's,
No,
that's
it
the
was
thing is,
not
I
happening.
didn't need to see you the way that you were. For me, it was the fact of I know there's something that I don't see that's going on, that maybe I just need some time to
Yeah.
ride the wave out a little bit. Try again in a week.
Not gonna lie, we need more people like you in our
I know,
lives
Well, so
because
true.
people do not understand that it doesn't. It like no one can meet us at a depth to that understanding because it's a personal attack every time,
Yeah.
and sometimes it is, and then we regret it and we beat ourselves up. We
Yeah.
are our hardest critics, and we don't want to hurt people, so
Yeah.
we disassociate from everyone and like
Mhm.
become introverted hermits, sad and depressed.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing even
And because
with,
I don't want to hurt you. I
Yeah.
don't want you to see me in this state. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to cause you any trauma because
Yeah.
I know what trauma
Well,
feels like.
the only way that I can show, like, obviously, I can say all I want that you're not going to hurt me.
Yeah.
I
The
will.
amount of people that have said that to me and have left, that's one of my abandonment stuff. But
Yeah.
I know personally the only way that I can show that you're not going to hurt me and that I'm here to stay is by doing it.
By staying.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why I was like, you know what? If this takes me fucking 20 years to figure this shit out,
Yeah.
I'm here.
And that's
I-
why I'm so like apologetic to this one person in my life because no matter how mean, I mean, I've gone back and read through text messages and it really, just in the last few weeks, and it really, it was hard to read. I mean, I went back for 6 months reading, like back 6 months in our text messages, reading how terrible the things that I've said. And every single response from him was so supportive.
Yeah.
And I could not see it in that time. And now I see it and I'm like, and still to this day has not given up on me.
Yeah.
And he should have a long time ago. And I'm
That's
so
who he is as a person, though.
I'm so
It's the person I'm thinking of,
Yeah.
right? Okay, cool.
it's so like I'm so I have a letter that I'm writing him now,
Okay, good.
processing things for the last month. I've been writing this letter. So these things haven't been
Right.
told yet, but it broke my heart
Yeah.
to see how this person has stayed with me through all of this, no matter how mean and nasty I've
Mhm.
been, hasn't still to this day not given up on me.
Yeah.
And I could not see that for the longest time because I was so consumed with the trauma he had caused. And man, I'm lucky. I am grateful. I am so lucky.
Do you think it broke your heart or like healed your heart? Actually,
It broke the heart it broke the heart of the person now,
Yeah.
but it's healing the person that was broken.
Okay.
And
Good.
the fact that like still to this day he's like, I'm never gonna take my family from you because
Yeah.
they're your family. I know how close you are with them. That's
Mhm.
I mean, even friends we've made together, still he's like I don't be your like I just
Yeah.
went to church on Sunday and his buddy is he does all the promo work and stuff for the church. And he's like, yeah, I had lunch and I asked him like, is it okay if and he's like, I'm not telling you not to. Like, yeah, she loves you. You love her. Like, I don't know.
It's kind of a situation where I felt okay too, because I'm more his friend than your friend.
Yeah.
Like, and we just met the other day.
Yeah.
But I felt completely okay having him on my podcast. I didn't even have to ask him because I just know
No.
that it's
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
That's one of the things, though, that I wanted to start this podcast. That was one of the reasons, is because I have this mentality because of my experience and the fact that the people closest with me, I know that's what they needed.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the reason why a lot of other people don't have that is because they don't have the knowledge.
Yeah,
they don't
That's
have
true.
Not,
the-
yeah, it is the knowledge, but it's also, I think, just like the person. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I just think that, I mean, this person I'm talking about I'm the first person with bipolar that has ever entered his
Right.
life. So like, I really
there's no
think
experience there.
right, I really think it's the person. And I think
Yeah.
the fact that you can be so graceful, patient, and supportive, even though you know it's so difficult, those are the things that, like, I'm realizing now, those are the things that like help so much, because
I
we're
know.
so used to people giving up on us
Yeah.
or leaving us.
That's why I am that way.
that when
though.
you don't leave, and I'm nasty to you, and you
Yeah.
don't, I would have left me.
I
The
know.
fact
Well,
that
that's
you
why.
stay is like,
That's why, because I've been in that situation, and the one thing that I wish that would have happened is I was like, I wish you would have stayed for another year, because
Yeah.
if you would have seen the person now, things would be so different. But that's also where the old saying of like, people come for a reason, people come for a season
Yeah.
type of thing
Yeah.
comes in. They weren't meant to handle that. Maybe like, yes, you wish that you would have had patience from that person,
yeah.
but maybe that's not what they needed at that
Yeah,
moment. Maybe
right.
they needed their own stuff.
And
Maybe
you don't even know either that you need, like, for the longest time I didn't know I needed that, and I didn't even know I had it, like,
Right, that's what I was
until
gonna say.
until just recently.
Right.
Like, I did not know, and even like talking to you is just kind of confirming that
Yeah.
thought. Is I didn't know I needed that. I didn't know that that is something I even had right now. I thought I was completely alone.
Mm-hmm.
No one loved me. No one cared for me. No one was there for me. That's all I would say is, I'm doing this by myself.
Yeah.
Like, I am alone in this. And just within the last few weeks, have really started to realize that I have had a supporter this entire time.
Yeah.
No matter how broken and nasty I've been,
Mm-hmm.
it's been right there. It's
But
been
Now
right
you know,
there.
and
It
you
is
can
hard.
And-
fix it.
Yeah,
The
and
amount
now
of
I can.
times-
That is the one. That is the awaken. That started the awakening, because it was, I'm exhausted. I can't talk to you anymore. I can't. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what? Why?
Yeah.
What am I doing wrong? Like, and then I
Right.
started like, what did I do? What? Oh, you're ready to walk out. Like, you're ready. Like, what is going on right now? And even though that was said, still here.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, that's
like,
good though, because he was
it-
finally getting you to.
wake ups.
Yeah.
To wake up.
Yeah.
And since that awakening, my life has just flipped.
you watched her full episode, right?
Yes.
So with that, obviously I know that there were definitely some things that we didn't cover, like the different types of bipolar. She kind of went into kind of what helps her, but you're a different person with a different brain, different mentality. I want to know specifically, since you've gone through this journey a little bit more,
Right.
you've gotten to understand your own brain a little bit more, your own psychology, everything about yourself a little bit more, and you kind of had this awakening. I want to know what helps you, what stabilizes you, what people that don't have bipolar, or maybe this is their first time hearing about it, or this is their first time hearing someone with it, of like, if they do meet someone with bipolar, or if someone gets diagnosed, of how they should react, how they should interact with that person, what kind of patience they need to have, just the kinds of things as someone with it.
I think I'm going to step back just a little bit.
Yeah.
So you asked earlier, anybody in my family who has it, my grandma had it as well.
Okay.
She was diagnosed, didn't treat it. She was crazy. But best grandma ever in the whole world to me, but watching her to other people, not so great. But she had it. So when I was diagnosed, I knew, I was like, shit, I'm going to beat her if I don't take care of it, which is why I chose to take care of it. But the things that I think are so beneficial for someone with bipolar is patience and that constant reassurance
Mhm.
that you're there for them. So, for instance, like my best friend, she's been my best friend for a very long time. She's watched every up and down for my entire life. I mean, I'd be kicked out and go stay with her for a little bit, or like we lived across the golf course at growing up, and they still live in the home that they had when we were children. So, what helps with me is not like if we're having a conversation and I'm in one of those moods or I'm in a depressive episode and we're like texting and talking and I tell you the honest truth of how I feel about whatever the situation is, to not take it as a personal attack, to try to read through the lines and to be open-minded to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because then it can turn into, and this has happened where I have been completely honest and open and straightforward to her, and it's come off in a different manner, and she's taken it like I'm attacking her and now we're fighting. When that message was not the intention to fight. So now she's saying mean things back to me. And now we're in somewhere where we couldn't have been if you just saw, like, read between the lines of what was happening and been open-minded that maybe she's not in a good place. Like, I know it's exhausting to constantly think like, maybe she's not in a good place right now. Let me just be a little bit more gentle.
Yeah.
So let me ask you then, with communication, would not confronting, but asking you, like, the way that I've kind of learned to communicate, whether it is someone with bipolar or just in general, never assume. Never just jump to the conclusion that you're being attacked.
Right.
So
That is very helpful.
In your instance then, if like say me and you were having like a conversation and I felt attacked, how would it be that if I were to come to you and say, look, Nicole, what you said, it felt like a personal attack, but I don't want to assume so. I don't know where you're at right now. Is this something that's a personal thing? Like
that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is perfect right there. Is I felt this way about what you said, but I don't want to assume that's what you were intending.
Okay.
So can we talk about that? That is perfect, because now I can see, all right, that hurt his feeling or that hurt their feelings. They took it this way, not how I intended. Now I can tell you what I was intending.
Yeah.
And now we can come to a better communication versus just like, oh my God, you're blah, 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 blah. Like, and you attack me back. Like,
well, I think that's just communication in general.
You're right.
Like that's where a lot of communication just ends up getting fucked over, because you, especially over text, you don't like, they always say that communication's 5% is the words that you say. Yeah. Everything else is tonality, body language, whatever else that I can't remember right now. But
good luck getting me on the phone. Yeah,
I hate talking on the phone. I absolutely hate to talk.
I call you.
I know, but you okay? So like, I want to cover this really quick. Yeah. Like after we finished recording mine, you were like, I wanted to know what the don'ts are.
Yes.
What not to do. And so, do you want to go?
Yeah.
You go.
So if we have plans to do something, and if in the future, and I don't show up, do not attack me.
Yeah.
Don't attack me. Please try to understand. Or, hey, are you okay? My best friend has done that many times, where she's like, you said you were coming over and I waited for you and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, that happens so much.
It's just like,
don't ask if you're okay.
Don't attack me.
Mean.
Don't be mean, because I'm probably in a state of mind where I'm already being mean to myself, 100%. And what you're doing is going to make it 100 times worse, because now I feel like a shithead. Because
Like I already did feel like a shithead.
Because I didn't update you, and now you're calling me out on it in a way that is very aggressive, when you could just say, hey, are you okay? What's going on? We had plans today. You didn't show up. I just want to make sure that you're doing okay. That being gentle is
the gentle
big,
approach.
Big, gentle approach is huge for me. When you're just like, you know what, and being accusatory and like nasty about it.
It's like I didn't mean to.
I'm sorry that I didn't show up at 2:30 to go hang out at your house.
Yeah.
Like, like that's how I'm going to like respond. Treat it. You know what I mean? You want to be nasty to me? Well, I'm sorry I didn't show up to like hang out at your house on the couch in jammies. Like, sorry you waited all day for me. Like,
that's because it's like if I did show up, I would be miserable like a zombie or mean to you too. Like,
and it's not like, and they're not like things that are like
Yeah.
important in my sense. They
Mhm.
may have been important to her because she missed me and wanted to hang out with me, and I wasn't being open-minded to that, which is a fault that I'm already playing in my head
Yeah.
and I'm already aware of. So, like, I understand it was important to you, but for me, it was, I'm in a bad place mentally right now that I cannot get myself to get up out of bed to
Right.
go drive an hour to you to
Mhm.
hang out on the couch and then drive back home.
Right.
Like, that sounds like a lot to me right now, and
Yeah.
I'm not in the space to do that. And I also don't want to put my energy on you.
Yeah.
So just understand that I didn't show up at 2:30 to hang out because I'm being mindful of us both.
Right.
Sorry I didn't update you. I was sleeping.
Yeah. Like, most of the time I'm sleeping.
I'm sorry
through
I
it.
did not update you. I was sleeping.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel that though with I used to go out a lot when I was like in my early 20s or like late teens, early 20s, and now I have to be prepared. Like if we're gonna do it, I have to be like preparing
Right.
for
Yeah.
the week. And so most of the time, like I'll have friends that get upset because they're like, "You just don't ever go out with us." I'm like, because the thought of like going out,
it's exhausting.
the social energy that I know I need to have, the fact that I'm gonna be on.
You're like, I just ran 30 miles in my head.
Yeah,
So I'm
literally.
tired.
Well, like, you have fun there. I don't. I'm on awareness mode. I'm on
Yeah.
protector
Yeah.
mode. I can't. You can drink. I'm not going to drink because I
Right.
have to drive home. I don't want to
Right.
risk getting a DUI.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going through all this stuff, so I
Yeah.
get that. To where I'm like, it sounds like a fun time to you, but to me,
Yeah.
it sounds like I'm running 4 marathons one
Right.
after another.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
My don'ts are when people tell me, like, if I'm having, like, if I'm angry, like a normal anger, like you piss me off or whatever, and they're saying, oh, you're in a manic episode,
Mhm.
they'll be like, you need to take your medicine.
I was just going to say, why don't you go
Holy
take your
crap.
meds? First of all.
Like, that's gonna fucking help.
I will check in with
I
you.
will kill you.
I try not to like say like you need to take your meds. I try to just be like,
It's different when you're saying you need to take your meds or have you taken them.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a huge
yeah.
difference.
Because, I mean, sometimes it's the tone too of like,
Yeah.
if you do say, like, have you taken them? Because, like, I'm being a certain way, that's still on the mean
Telling
side.
you with bipolar, being gentle is the best
Yeah.
answer.
well,
Like,
I've
being
learned-
gentle is the best answer. Like, hey, I could tell you're being a little bit off. Like,
Yeah.
have you been able to take your meds today?
Well,
Yeah.
that's kind
Very
of
simple.
the
Totally
approach
easy.
that I've learned even like with you is don't act reactionary. Like if you're
Yeah.
blowing up at me, have you fucking taken your meds today?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's more of like I'll let you do whatever you need to do, and
Yeah.
then once the water simmered down a little bit, like hey,
Yeah.
just out of curiosity, like
Mm.
are you staying consistent with your meds?
Yeah.
When was the last time? Like
Because it's big, because we don't know, like, for me, I don't know when I'm in a manic. Like,
Yeah. half the
it's
time I
hard.
don't.
Half the time I don't know that I'm in a manic, and I don't know when it's gonna come or when it's gonna go away.
Yeah.
I just know that it's gonna come and go away. When, I have no clue.
Right.
Like,
And
it's
it's
just
just
gonna
even-
show up one day.
Right.
And like with my friend being upset, like it's like I didn't know that my manic episode or my depressive episode landed on the day that we planned 2
Right.
weeks ago to
Yeah.
hang out. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for that.
That, even if I am taking my medicine, it's still gonna happen.
It's
It
happened.
doesn't just
Yep.
stop it from happening.
Yep.
You know?
It does. And I think having gentle people around is a big, and I think another one of my don'ts is like when I'm in a manic and like not telling me I'm being different. Like
yeah.
I kind of want the awareness because I don't know. So like being able to like
that makes me so scared and nervous.
it's
though.
hard. I know it's hard because like to not like call.
Is that you too?
It depends. It really does
Okay.
for me.
Sometimes I want to be like called out on it, but in a
Mhm.
way that's not going to like
Yeah.
See, and
fuck me
that's
up.
Yeah.
that's the edge of the knife that's so hard to
Right.
ride because
Right.
it's like, well, at what point is it too much to be like, hey, by the way, you're acting crazy. I think you're in a manic episode because
Well,
it's like an
that's-
accusatory thing.
Dude,
Right.
that is actually my second don't. Is like, well, it's mainly because my ex was so manipulative that he'd be like, you're in a manic episode. I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
so
I'm
it's a
not.
trigger
Like,
for you.
No, I'm not. But then I probably
I think I have to
was.
figure it out with you.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah, and
Like,
I'm mostly like sometimes aware of it. Like I'll tell you,
Right.
like I'm obviously in a manic episode because I'm like talking to a bunch of dudes at once, and then I'm like anxious, and I'm like, fuck, I'm in a manic episode.
Well, it's-
Damn it, what did I
And he'll be like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's easier for me because I am that much more knowledgeable about
Yeah.
bipolar. And so
Yeah.
a lot of times I don't really necessarily have to ask. I don't want to say I assume, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I'm like, I've seen baseline, and if you're going absolutely at 1,000,000 miles an hour, I'm
Yeah.
like,
I guess I would be grateful for like if I'm not seeing it and you can tell, just being like, Kayla, like
Yeah, because then it like protects me from doing something
worse.
worse.
Yeah,
You know what I
like
mean?
you're
To
stopping.
somebody.
It's like a big halt.
right.
Like, okay.
It's like your face, like since I've had the mirror faced on me recently, I actually that's something I need. Like put the mirror in my face and point it out, because
not every time.
not every time you have, and that's the
A
thing,
lot,
being
though.
mindful about it, being
Yeah.
mindful of the situation, having social awareness, emotional intelligence about it. Like, and those are things that you can't ask everybody to have, which
Right.
I'm aware of.
Yeah.
and that's where I would get nervous, is because unless you know that person to know
Right.
where their baseline is, I feel like it's almost like asking a woman if they're pregnant.
Yeah.
If you ask a woman if they're pregnant and they're not pregnant, you
Yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah.
But
It's true.
it's like if you're if you're not in a manic episode, and I'm like, hey, are you in a manic episode? I don't know if that's going to start making you overthink. Like,
Right.
oh shit, like,
Am I?
Am I like?
Like, how crazy am I?
Yeah.
Right. How crazy am I being? Actually, now I'm overthinking everything.
Yeah.
I'm in a
I
manic
think-
episode.
I
Yeah.
think for me, it would be like the closest people to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just anybody. It
Right.
would have to be people who know me
Right.
inside and out, who can
100%.
see me for who I am and who acknowledge my changes.
Mhm.
Those are the people. My support team is who I want to call me
Yeah,
out.
100%.
Anybody else calling me out?
Like,
Sorry.
you think you
can
are.
go fuck yourself, because you're not calling me out on anything because you don't know me.
Yeah.
But like people that are close to me, for them to say, hey, I'm noticing different behavior than
Mhm.
before. Like,
Right.
can you just do some thinking about it?
Yeah.
And that will trigger me into like, okay, am I? Oh, yes,
Right.
I am.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
it kind of halts me from doing destructive things, which is so easy to do.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, it is. This is the question that you always ask because we're getting to the end of like, is there anything else that you would like to say?
Or misconceptions that you want to make sure that are.
I think that misconceptions are in the work field of having bipolar, which is why it becomes so embarrassing to say it, because then they just think of you as this crazy person. And I've had some recent interactions at work that have not been so good. And now that I've stepped back, I realize that I was in a manic episode. So everything that anyone did to me, I took as a personal attack on
Mhm.
myself,
Gotcha.
and that they were being mischievous and like malicious towards me
Yeah.
personally, when really that's just who they are, and
Yeah.
it had nothing to do with me.
But I feel like it does happen to us a little bit more often.
But how do you tell your employer,
Yeah.
hey, this is something I struggle with bipolar,
Without
them firing you,
Yeah.
or without them judging you, or without them now outcasting you to be this different thing, and now there's gossip around it.
Well, that's
it's
where-
your
You know what I
fault.
mean?
Yeah.
Right. So
not
then
so
you become the
accurate.
aggressor, and the
No matter what.
no matter what,
Yeah.
you are the aggressor, you are the bad guy.
Mhm.
Well, that's where being able to define it in different ways possibly helps in the situations, because those who only hear about the term bipolar don't think of it in the way of how it actually is. They think of, okay, so 1 minute she's crazy, 1 minute she's fine.
Yeah. And that's not true.
Obviously, if I'm an employer, I don't want someone who I can't rely on, because
Right.
for me, if I come in and you come in and say you're bipolar and all I know about is, okay, you're hot and cold, I don't know if I can rely on you.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Right.
and that's not to say that, like, I don't know.
I think
It's-
people I think you're right. People think of it that way, but really bipolar, I feel like
Makes you a better employee.
it makes you better, and we are the most loving, thoughtful, kind, open, and emotionally aware and intelligent people that you
Mhm.
could ever meet.
Yeah.
Because especially people who are aware and acknowledge their condition
100%.
and the ones that are working to become better people.
Mhm.
We have a depth to us that not many people have and
Mhm.
not many people are willing to reach, and we get you to reach that
Mhm.
eventually.
Yeah.
But we are also so loving, so nurturing, so kind, so open, so spiritual, so like, and that is what I want to like emphasize. It's
Yeah.
like bipolar people are not just this hot and cold, crazy
Right.
Yeah.
psychos.
Yeah.
Like we are also, and what you're thinking of me when I hurt your feelings, I'm probably already thinking of it in
Right.
myself. I'm
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
aware of it myself, and I already feel terrible. Whether you bring it to my attention or not, I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I think is such a beautiful gift about it is
Mhm.
that the self-awareness that comes with bipolar and to be
100%.
able to turn in and beat myself up before you beat me up.
Yeah.
That's what
Like,
I said in my podcast episode was like, I think the best people are bipolar because like we're so aware of ourselves around other people and we are aware of you guys and how you're feeling most of the time. That like we're probably the best employees to
Yeah.
have.
and I'm already thinking ahead. Like
Yeah.
I'm constantly thinking ahead. If I do this, how is it going to do? If I say this, how are they going to feel?
Yeah.
And so I'm already like, I was telling you how I describe it as like I have two people in my brain at
Mhm.
one time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I am aware of this side. I'm also aware of this
Yeah.
side. So like if I hurt your feelings, I already know I did,
Yeah.
which is
On
the
both sides,
shitty
yeah.
part of it. But I know I did, and now I feel like shit for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like we are very, very, very thoughtful and mindful and aware.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I want like people to understand
Yeah.
about people with bipolar and not to look at us as just this crazy hot and cold.
Right.
I feel that.
Because we're not
No.
just that.
That's true.
Well, Nicole, thank you so much
Yeah, of
for
course.
being so open and vulnerable and talking about. I know there's definitely some stuff that came up that isn't the easiest to talk about, but as I always say, it's the voice that is able to do that, of like the effect that you had from Kayla's episode.
Yeah.
It's, you never know who you're going to be able to affect. You never know who you're going to be able to touch. And it's not something that's like you're the only person in the world that deals with this.
No.
Yeah.
It just takes that voice to be able to announce that you're not the only person. So I personally just want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience with this and being able to destigmatize a lot of the stuff and being able to
Mhm.
teach around this thing that not a lot of people have the knowledge they should have
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah. No, of course. I am so grateful to have been asked to be here. Like, it is like how aligned in timing I feel with this is
Mhm.
absolutely magical.
Yeah.
Like, it was just the perfect time. And
Yeah.
I have always said I wanted to help with the mental health thing, just didn't know how to get into it.
Yeah.
That was how
So-
we were.
Yeah.
So for you to invite me here, I feel like there's going to be many doors open for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you sharing this episode is going to be amazing for you too.
And
I'm just grateful
it's-
for the friendship that this is going to bring us,
It- it-
even if it's just like, hey, I'm in
Yeah.
It's scary to share the episode, but
It is.
It was terrifying for me.
I still have
Holy
my
crap.
episode coming up
Yeah.
of talking about my stuff, and I've
Yeah.
kind of dove into it a little bit on here, but there's still I've barely even scratched the surface with
Right.
a lot of
It's
it.
because there's like depth that people don't really see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's honestly, it's vulnerability that connects people together.
Yeah.
It's that one person that's able to knock down the door a little bit. So
Yeah. I'm super grateful you came on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Awesome.